people who are managing ODM. There should be no division. People should talk in terms of unity. Raila, before he died, he had a premonition. He moved with Ruto in togetherness. We are never happy to make this nation to become very chaotic. People should think in terms of unity and peace.
The general in command of Venezuela's presidential honor guard, Javier Marcano Tabata, has been sacked days after Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro was seized by U.S. forces in a raid in Caracas and taken to New York to stand trial on narco-terrorism charges. The presidential honor guard is the military force that provides the bodyguards tasked with protecting the head of state, while the Venezuelan government has not yet provided a detailed breakdown of casualties. Members of the guard are thought to be among the dozens of people killed in the U.S. operation to seize Maduro. The order to replace General Marcano was issued by the new interim president, Delcy Rodriguez. That's the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
We look at the utterances of leaders who are aligned to broad-based, who are initially in ODM. We thought they stand for something. Now they've been exposed.
Because we are a third world country, we are poor. And not because we don't have resources, but we have been robbed senseless.
Look at the wasteful expenditure. Look at how large government lives. And we've said this is something that can be controlled. It happens in many other countries.
Internally, we used to stand and tell him, boss, hii kitu ni mbaya. And you'd say, now he doesn't, let me tell you, you saw the other parliamentary group meeting. People went there, sat, listened, looked at him. There was no plenary, left.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
You have land, Dennis. Yeah. Okay, your own land. You use your own money to build it, and then you sell it to yourself.
But we don't want foreign troops on Kenyan soil.
But surely it goes a little bit deeper. This is it.
If you find the tree is withering, then you call the person who is managing that tree. Come around.
Yeah,
why? Tell me what is
first of all, what's the problem?
Yes, what is the problem there?
How do we expect ourselves to move forward as a country?
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
He is himself actually has admitted that he bribed members of parliament. So
he admitted that he bribed members of parliament.
Well, when he said
the government,
when he said that he gave the 10 million was for what?
We're always quick to point faults in somebody else before you look at your own faults as a person.
If it was Kanu's day, hii amuka naye leo ungekuwa umeenda bali sana hii. So when we must celebrate you.
There are 600 million people now globally estimated to be living with diabetes in the world. So it is a major health problem. It's the largest single disease rising pandemic that we're dealing with right now.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
Presidency is fairly interesting in the sense that it will actually take us to a new consciousness.
Swali zile watu waulizi na swali muuliza na shangala ni aje kwani huku kunaendaje?
30 billion shillings annually on travel alone in public service.
A Kenyan can even demonstrate every single day of his life that Ruto must go. That is the only message of his demonstration. That is his right.
That bribe blinds the eyes of the wise and subverts the cause of those who are in the right.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
SRC's mandate is constitutional. It's not an advice. It's actually something you must do.
Must do.
Like now, you abandon, of course, the narrative of wheelbarrow, Mutomjengo, Mamamboga, and all those, that narrative, that rosy narrative.
Your expenditure is 3.3 trillion, and you're collecting only 2.5. Out of that 2.5, you're spending 1.8 trillion to service loans and so forth.
That the CDF kit, it's in itself a symptom of corruption.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's 10 minutes after 6 o'clock, and very good morning to you. As you get into it today, it's Thursday, the first Friday of the week, and voila, tuko hapa kabisa. Sindio?
Kabisa.
Good morning, Dennis
Morning.
Aseto.
How are you doing?
I'm all right, thank you. Nico Salama.
Nice. Good to see you.
I'm fine.
I know. I know you're fine. I underscored that message.
All right.
Yeah, even if you're operating on fumes, it's okay.
Operating on fumes is the word, my friend.
Yeah.
But we shall overcome.
Kabisa.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Mr. Josphat Kamanya.
My name.
How are you?
I'm good.
Uko Salama?
Yes.
That's an old Negro spiritual.
Yes,
That
yes,
one we were singing just now. And they actually did.
And they did.
And they did overcome. Many would say they are still in slavery, or that many are still in slavery, that of the mind, in one way or another, or in the minds of other people, they've still been held in captivity. But this is getting very philosophical this morning, and a little bit too heavy before coffee, isn't it? Uko Salama?
Kabisa.
Good morning.
And I shall overcome.
Amen. No.
Hey, we all need to, man. We need to.
It's absolutely necessary
Yeah.
to overcome. Leah Subu, I think everybody's doing okay. I've seen Awuor, and her voice is what's the word I want to use? I would imagine that if fairies would speak, they would have Awuor's voice.
Awuor would be their princess.
Yes. If fairies could speak, if they don't just whisper about and dance in the flowers with the bees, if they spoke, they would have Awuor's voice. Yeah. As I've been trying to place it, her voice is just almost whimsical. But happen to Tukole, you can tell that maybe lack of sleep makes me delve into poetic justice. Joyline is also here. Joyline is able to move about in 6-inch heels in a way that very other few people are able to do. This is how we let you know a little bit about people's personality.
Can't you go down to the floor?
Sindo?
We're dancing like up and come back
with
up.
the heels. We're not going to ask how you know this particular bit of information, but that you know it is great.
You know that song, Get Down. Joyline, can you get down?
Okay, so answer later, not now. Don't want to. Purity is the goal this year. So good morning, everybody, and Karibu Sana. Still a word up for EVE. All will be well as you continue to give the care, and big up to you to be able to do that. And I think it's a privilege to be able to then care for those who birthed us. So, well done. And as you continue to do that, we continue to pray for strength and healing. Christine, when she reaches, we will greet her. For now, Christine, impunity utawacha. But good morning all the same. Is that me outing?
2026 Mambo Mapia.
Mapia Kabisa. Is that me outing somebody properly? Our live streams are up on YouTube, Facebook, and on X. And a very good morning to our audience on KTN this morning. Ndu, Dennis, and Joe Kamanya with you today as we get into Kenya's biggest conversation this Thursday morning. Quite a number of things to talk about, and I'll let you know what those are in a while. If you're tuned in, YouTube, Facebook, and on X, that's where you can find us this morning. Take a minute and let us know where it is you're tuned in from, what it is you're doing. And those of you who are silent listeners, thank you for always tuning in this morning. You make it what it is. That we may see numbers on the platforms, but we know that in the thousands in different parts of the world, you're tuning in and making a deliberate effort to be part of discourse, which is absolutely important. And we'll make it our duty every day to afflict the comfortable and to comfort the afflicted, that at every point you're plugging into a conversation that matters towards life, towards livelihood, and towards living. So Karibuni Sana to the Situation Room this morning, and today we will delve into a number of things, and what that will be, we'll start off with 7 o'clock, where we look into am I saying my own things? No, I am not. So where is it? Sorry, you just have to abide with me. Okay, so 7 o'clock, we'll have a conversation with the former chief agent of the ODM party, and that many have accused for actually standing by and watching things happen, and perhaps he could have done more. And with the current expressions that we've seen come out, people want to come and give an account of what actually happened at the time that could give rise to the current conversations. Saitabao Olekanchori is former chief agent of ODM. He's a lawyer. He's going to join us at 7 o'clock, and we're going to be looking into crisis or rebirth, power control, and the soul of ODM. Certain people are saying certain things. The ODM party had a party a little bit for a posthumous celebration of Raila Odinga yesterday in Kilifi and in Karen, and a number of things were said, maybe some retribution made, some coming together, perhaps. Is it real? We'll have that conversation all together with Saitabao at 7. We will then at 8 o'clock, as people were traveling around, we'll then at 8 o'clock talk with Jeremiah Kioni, who's Secretary General of the Jubilee Party. Political deflection, united opposition, is there such a thing? Is that people just looking for political space and for political strength? History in the hot seat is what we'll talk about today with him. Have him in the hot seat today. So he joins us at 8 o'clock. And then at 9 o'clock, when you travel around the country specific times, there are rows and rows and lines of people coming to hear certain prophets speak.
They actually even wash the roads with detergent and everything because the man of God is coming through.
What?
Yeah, literally.
They wash the road
with buckets, water boozers, detergent, scraping the road because the man of God is passing.
Because the man of God is passing through. Yeah. Hallelujah. Amen. All right. Well, there's something that seems to have hoodwinked people in society to the point whereby it's almost sycophantic in terms of the worship of one prophet. Kenya's miracle economy. When hard times turn the altar into an emergency room, whereby people are saying, it's either here or nowhere. Speaking in tongues, seeking your miracle. Somebody touches your head, you prostrate, you fall down.
Holy
what
water,
are we?
holy
Such
oil.
things: holy oil, holy water, holy candles, holy chicken, holy handkerchief, everything. Fire, mass.
One would also argue that all form of worship, religious worship, is sycophantic.
One would argue.
Organized religion,
yes.
One would argue, for sure. We'll talk about this with a sociologist who's Angela Chukunzira. She'll join us at 9 o'clock, because what is it really? December was crazy. When we saw the crowds of people, we want to talk about people only believe, and this was across social strata. You won't say that it was just those who are underprivileged who are going to these crusades. People across, the rich, the poor, the in-between, everybody goes, not went, goes and still goes. And if they were to call another one today, they would still go. We're having that conversation at 9 o'clock. You want to plug in for this one as well. So that's what it looks like today on the Situation Room. Thank you for being here already, and we'll get in to say hello to you in just a short while. So click in, let us know where you're tuned in from. We know some of you all are getting into the night time where it's time to go to bed, but you're tuned in anyway, and so we're grateful for that. As we get into Thursday, take this ride with us. Buckle up, because it's going to be a fun ride. Let's start off with the people of Burkinabe and what they are saying this morning.
So the people of Burkinabe today are telling us about a horse being taken care of by two people, right? And what are they saying? The horse cared by two grooms dies of hunger. The horse cared by two grooms dies of hunger.
Oh, horse. Yani
horse.
Okay.
Yes.
Horse.
Yes.
The horse cared for by two
grooms dies of hunger.
Yeah. Too many cooks spoil the broth, kind of thing. Let one person, or at least focus in one direction. In one direction. That's how I would see it. You can't have two people or two entities running the roost, because you will have a problem, as we've always seen. So focus. and let one. You try to go with one solution. If it doesn't work, then try another thing. But you can't try so many things at the same time, or use too many people at the same time.
Joel?
For me,
Yeah, specialize and prioritize. Because sometimes getting our hands all over, trying to do different things towards one direction, we lose direction.
True.
Like just try to specialize, focus, so that at least today you can get done what will get you going.
True.
Yeah.
I agree. Ni hayo tu kwa sasa.
Oh, Evo too. Oh, okay.
Ni
So
hayo tu
today
kwa
we're
sasa.
keeping it short and sweet.
Short and sweet.
All right. All right.
Because too many people can cause failure.
Okay. My English teacher in high school, my teacher of English in high school is called Mr. Fine. Okay. And he used to say, keep it short and simple. So it was the KISS strategy. Or then he would say, many things should be like a woman's skirt, short enough to be interesting, but long enough to cover the subject.
Okay. It's like that promo that we have.
Yeah, exactly. It is from our Ghanaian friend.
Like when you have a bikini.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Good morning to everybody and welcome. Let's say a quick word to you as you tuned in today, and let's see who's online and what things you're saying. I can almost bet you that Don Sabo has a very interesting question for you, Dennis.
He does.
But I don't know. But let's see if my phone will just stop trying to freeze, and then perhaps we can keep things moving. All right. Yes. So very good morning to you as you get into the show today. And there he is. Ndu. Yes. Ask Aseto. So you even say good morning first. My mother says it is only a goat that just gets out of the house and goes.
Says meh.
Sure. Greet the people around you. Ndu, ask Aseto by what Mama Ida said and did yesterday during Baba's birthday on quelling ODM infights. Is it an indication of a silent, powerful leader inherent in her?
I mean, she understood the man. She lived with the man longer than any other person, right? So she was just telling people, guys, this is not what Raila Odinga would have done. Raila Odinga would have called everyone in the room and had a discussion.
Okay.
So you talk about power, yes, but it's soft power. Okay. Is it soft or hard? Depends on how you want to look at it.
Okay. There's
power.
There's power. There's something. Peter Chiari is tuning from Mombasa this morning and says corruption rots the roots even when the leaves look green. Indeed, it does. Good morning to you, Peter. Robert Tobogo is tuned in from Mombasa this morning. Good morning to you. Rahim Tula Omar, good morning from Preston in the UK. A school received 109 shillings as capitation per student. We are joking as a country. Let me tell you something. This capitation thing, if I'm going to get high blood pressure in my life, it's going to be over this thing. Because we are, it's like we're playing Russian roulette. Like we're putting a bullet in the chamber, and then we're not sure when it's going to hit.
Yeah.
Every time.
Do you realize 109 shillings is less than $1?
You cannot buy bread.
You can't.
Okay, you can buy the small loaf of bread.
You can't buy two.
You can't buy two loaves of bread.
2 loaves of bread, yeah.
And you see the cost. That 100 costs people a future.
This is what I'm saying. Yeah. Russian roulette with our children's future. Because okay, let's try this here and then let's see what happens. We just throw them down. Let's see if they get down the hill.
I've made a resolve. The next president I'm voting for must offer free education.
And for real free.
And for real, yeah.
For real free.
Not this shenanigans that we're saying is free education.
Accessible and quality education. I've made that resolve. We cannot continue this.
But I think even as we make that decision on free education, because that's the same thing that we were told 2022, they have to tell us how they're going to achieve it. I think that's where rubber meets the road, because fine, they'll come with all these good words, melodies, and how are you going to achieve this free education and assure us that capitation will get to it or to go?
Yep. And then before you know it, you'll see issuance of bursaries in the next.
Wait now. See, they're coming back. Wait now. In the next 2 weeks, you'll see people lining up, sleeping outside constituency offices at 3 a.m.
Bursaries of 2,000.
Wait, it's coming.
We must have a serious conversation about it.
We must.
Hey, you guys remember we're not throwing garbage on the streets. We're not throwing garbage out of the car window. We're not throwing garbage out of the public service vehicle window. We are keeping our garbage, and then we get to a place where we can dispose of it properly. That is what we are doing this year. Sawa.
Kabisa.
We must remember that. Tupac Shakur says in Dionini, I think every time we see your name, we have to come up with a Tupac Shakur song. Let's see how many we know. I wonder if Heaven's Got a Ghetto. There's another one. Good morning to you, Tupac. It's good to see you reincarnated. Leo says, hello, Princess Indu. Good morning. Aseto and Joe, we are expecting a lot from a tortoise on top of a stump. Allah. IEBC as is just an executive extension. US wars are always after oil deposits and control. Of course, it didn't take 3 minutes for the US to now start talking about oil in Venezuela. But as they mentioned yesterday, it wasn't going to take long. And they've already done it. Yeah, I mean, that's what they want in the first place. Can we just call a spade and not a big spoon? That is exactly what they wanted. Yeah. And that's where they've gone. You talk about Maduro, I don't know.
I think the world should just make a decision to just go electric.
At this rate.
Because
it's making people behave like vagabonds.
We'll experience the peace that we really want.
Yeah. These are the things making people act like crazy people. Georgia Demo says, Happy New Year. Good morning to you. This Sunday, today is Thursday.
Okay.
Oh, I've not taken my drugs. It's Thursday, is it not?
It's Sunday where he is.
Is he talking of coming Sunday?
Okay, maybe the coming Sunday. I was about to slap my wrist. Hey, is it in? Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, I told you the drugs. His birthday's on Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay, we understand. See, remind us, then we sing for you tomorrow so that it's closer to Sunday.
Yes.
Amma? All right. Jimmy Monothi is tuning in this morning. Happy New Year to you as well. David Mangera says, good morning, sister. Okay, wow. Happy New Year. Glad to be back here and see you in 2026. Baraka Tele Kabisa. Good to see you and thank you for tuning in this morning as well. Linda Gola says, good morning, good people. Good morning, good person. And how are you? Good morning, guys, says Eric Awuor. Good to have you in the room. Leo, you seem to think that Rigathi and his shortcomings ignited a debate that seemed to take us back to a few decades ago about national school placement and how locals weren't admitted to neighborhood national school. I'm going to say something. As unpalatable as what he said was, that created a thought in the minds of people, the basic fundamental idea of what he was saying is not far from a reality. That you should have schools that will accommodate people. That's what schools were supposed to do.
True.
Schools were supposed to accommodate people in the community.
From the same vicinity.
In the vicinity. That's what they were supposed to do. In the initial idea of it, where we are finding it unpalatable is to imagine that you're then trying to say that because you're not from that area, you cannot go to the school. In this case, two things can exist and be true. But then to put the tribal tinge on it is what now sounded way off. To think that people from a community were being sidelined to accommodate people from outside. No. And that's why one of the big reasons for the call for decategorization of schools, because of this nonsense that we are currently seeing today.
There is a former classmate of mine in college who was giving us an example of the school that he went to and how the community built that school to accommodate students from that region, right? So it's somewhere in Nakuru County. And that at the time, they decided intentionally for that school to never be a boarding school because it was supposed to be a day school where the local community come to that school. When a new principal went to that school and decided for it to be a boarding school, everybody else from outside came in, and what that happened is the performance level went down because the initial idea behind it was everyone from around this place to have an opportunity to go to school.
I mean, it's a dicey conversation.
That was the intention. Because we had these district schools, national schools. But the problem I find with the unpalatable comments is that not once did I ever hear him when he was a deputy president advocate for construction of new schools.
This is the problem. When is the last time a school was actually constructed in this country?
I would want anybody to tell me when the last time they have seen a new school in their own constituency.
A new school. I'm not talking about a dining hall or classroom.
School.
A new school.
Or renovation.
Established. Not renovation, not buying of desks.
Because this problem of placement, we would have resolved it long time ago. If we had started off with build construction of schools instead of avoidable houses, we would not be having this crisis. Because it's even cheaper to construct a classroom. It's less than $1 million.
Because it's 3 walls.
Yes.
3 walls, my friend.
So, and then we will not be having this issue. So you can have as many schools you want in a county, in an area, in a constituency, and then people have the day and the boarding schools, then improve on the quality of those schools.
You know, the only time that I think the Republic remembers when schools were being constructed was when former President Daniel Moi was in office.
See, that's scary.
It's scary.
See?
Yeah,
it's scary because Moi is actually credited for building schools.
No, and that you can see. It's
that
very
you can
clear.
see.
That there was a mushrooming of schools under his administration.
Wow.
Quite a
Even
number.
as we have these conversations, I mean, we must understand what the problem is.
Yeah.
We don't have sufficient class
We do
rooms.
not. We don't.
We do not have schools.
They're not they're schools. They're not enough. This is what we're saying.
Oh, yeah.
So, Leo, that's the point that you bring up. Ward Major says, good morning, beautiful people. Happy New Year, listening from Phoenix in Arizona. Well, good morning to you, sir. Karibu.
Yo, you just made that thing sound so European. Ward Major. It's Ward Major. Kijana wa
It's Major. Ward Major.
Ward Major, son of Major. That's Luo for son of Major.
Ward Major.
Ward Major. Okay.
Okay, sawa. Linda Gola, you said ulitoka night shift straight to the morning shift. Aish, I'm telling you. John Nene says, good morning, love the team. Asante Sana, thank you for being here this morning. Hisa Daniel is also tuned in this morning and says, good morning, Spice. Mr. Kamanya Jambo, to you specifically. Sisi wengine, we are assisting you. Tukae kando. That's David Mangera. Raimsula Omar, Asante Sana, thank you so much. Special greetings to Joe. Hey.
Good morning to you too.
All right, this is from Linda. Good morning, Spice family. Regardless sentiments, though laced with tribal undertones, is a timely conversation. Well, there you go. Very true. Great day ahead to everybody, says Sheila Masasabi. Tibbs Moge, hey, good morning. Any news on the assassination attempts against Captain Ibrahim Traore? If there is a man who probably has an assassination attempt every 2 days, is Ibrahim Traore. This for him is like, going to the city.
19.
Yeah.
So now it's 20, eh?
It's, I mean, for him it's normal now. And then you ask why the man walks with a gun.
Yeah.
D-Combo, good morning, the wonderful ones. Please, Undu, with your beautiful voice, kindly sing for me. Row, row, row your boat gently down. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Yo. Abi?
Yeah.
Life is but a dream. Do you know that these nursery rhymes that we used to sing when we were younger have some deeper meaning that we actually don't get? We thought we were singing kids' songs, but they were not for children. And not in that sense. But I mean, you know. Ramtula says, it's like that donkey who has 2 pails of hay that are equidistant but dies of hunger due to indecisiveness. Well, okay. Antonina Kahika, good morning. Before the 15th, tell Awuor we will conquer. We are together in this. Unfortunately for me, I haven't slept. I've coughed all night. Oh no, why have you coughed all night? Ginger, sister, ginger, it's your natural antibiotic and it will soothe that thing right away. Please do it and some honey will work, but the raw one, not these other things that have sugar. Rhoda One Boy says, good morning, tuning from the UK and enjoying the conversation. Thank you for being here this morning. Alicia Morano says, good morning, Spice. Mbona hakuna jam? Wapi? It depends on where you are. Stanley Ngash is tuned into Team TSR. So where does your takataka guy dispose your trash? Takayako jukumu ilako. That's true. All the trucks that come into the estate, around the apartments, whatever, where are they taking this trash? To the everlasting hills of the Dandora dump site? Is that where they're going? Where are they taking the trash?
Mountain.
Is there an incinerator somewhere that can actually turn that trash to ash? Hey, trash to ash. Is that happening? Do we know? Are people separating garbage? Is this happening?
No.
Another beautiful day to listen to Spice FM, says Brian Washira Kabisa. Dr. Venvic says good morning and Happy New Year. Miguel Germain is tuned in and says Happy New Year as well. Thank you for being here. Let's do this really quickly. Our time is actually ticking away. Christina, good morning to you. Karibu Sana. It's also your birthday on Sunday, Rahimtula. Even if I have to come here to Spice on Sunday and sing for you personally during Leah's show, I will. Abuta Kamla says, good morning, Spice. Aseto, going electric will not reduce the demand on oil. Sawa. It either maintains status quo or even increases its demand. Sawa basi.
Okay.
Good morning, dear family, says Baby Talker. Have a blessed day to you too. Musema Okweli, good morning, great team. Crafting of infrastructure funds and wealth fund by the unpatriotic broker, okay, to remove oversight by Auditor General and Controller General is the biggest scandal. Must be stopped. Ooh, all right. Wangi Juma says, good morning, Team Spice. How are you this blessed Thursday? We are all right. Teachers and parents in a mess. Patients in sick hospital. Taxes with no value. And government is busy fighting Sifuna as an individual. Can you imagine? priorities. Thomas Omosa says, good morning, you're aspiring MCA, we see you. Milestone says, I stand with Gashagwa. Millions for building good schools. Everywhere are stolen to construct skyscrapers in South Sea, which are falling down. Lamek Otieno says, good morning. Another opportunity to remind us that we are on our own. Ooh-wee. Karanja says, good morning. And Happy New Year crew says, hey, Shav. Good morning to everybody. Karibu Sana, thank you for joining us. It's fun to be able to go through your greetings. And we already started the tone for the day because through your greetings, there are many things that you say beyond just good morning. So thank you for being here. We took a look last night into what the Kenya's bold newspaper, The Standard, has to say this morning, and I'm looking into the headlines. Betrayed in death. And there's slices of an orange, and there are different people on different sides of the slices. What am I talking about? The ODM party. ODM leaders yesterday marked what would have been Raila Odinga's 81st birthday with nostalgic messages and videos, even as the party reels from deep internal rivalries. Oburu Odinga, Raila's successor, and a faction backing President Ruto's 2027 bid have clashed with Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, Siaya Governor James Orengo, and others pulling in different directions. Observers say greed and personal ambition threaten the party's unity and Raila's legacy. That's what's on the front page of the Standard this morning. Will the brokerage of this relationship by Mama Ida Odinga make a difference? Time will tell. And we will see, I'm sure, in a short few days, what direction this is going in. All right, looking into other headlines this morning, into the internal pages of the Standard. What other stories are we looking at? If I can just get the page to open, it would be fantastic. There we go. Activist sues NCA boss over collapsed building. We did actually see that the Cabinet Secretary for Lands, Alice Wahoma, came out guns blazing yesterday, and she said the fault for this lies right at the county government of Nairobi. Approvals were given for another 4 floors on top of this. Shouldn't have been the case. The ground was not going to be able to take it. If you have been to South Sea in the recent past, you probably understand what you were saying, because there is a building everywhere you look, and they're going high into the sky. The architect also reveals lapses that failed ill-fated flats, and there's just too much going on here. We also see these intrigues coming out as a second body was recovered from a fatal building collapse as rescue ends. And for what they've said, all the bodies that they suspected to be inside have been retrieved.
But my concern is how the CESs distance themselves whenever there is a crisis in their ministry.
It's not them.
It's not them. They'll say mine is purely policy, but when things are working right, you see them launching projects and saying, in my ministry, under my watch, certain things will not happen. So when they do happen, at what point do they take responsibility? Because the county government says, we tried to stop the construction of this building 3 times. So that's a government. It's an extension of the government, the county government. They failed to stop it. What did they do? And then the ministry was there reporting, because they should have been escalated.
Sure.
How can a government fail to stop a construction just because an individual says, I'm well connected, I'm more powerful? I think there has to be an institutional responsibility both from the ministry and the county government before we lay the blame on the engineer. The CS and the governor, in my opinion, we cannot impeach the CS. She needs to resign. But the governor, these are grounds for impeachment.
If it needs to, we can kick them out. They don't even have to resign. We can kick them out.
That's my opinion. Yeah. And I think we need to stand firm because they are failing us as Kenyans. How many other buildings do you think, that's the question that lingers, have been stopped, but the construction continues?
How many buildings have you passed with a cross sign, but they're still going up?
Yeah. So CS or home, I think just pack and leave.
That's a good one. Yeah. Indeed. Shock after 15-year-old girl throws a child into the Embakasi River.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you that story in a little bit because it's a big one as we look through the headlines. Raila Dream betrayed leaders party as ODM faces implosion. Are Raila's shoes too big for Oburu? Is that a question? Sifuna outer drive loses steam amid calls for dialogue. And principals warned against charging illegal fees, asking parents for bribes. This is interesting because you know what it is? It's like winking in the dark and expecting that people are seeing you, but you've told people, I've winked. Did you not see me? I'm telling you, don't bribe people, okay? Then we say, okay. But meanwhile, people are lining up at the principal's office with 150,000 shillings in their pocket for their child to get a placement. Come on. You can say what you want. It's like when you tell schools, don't raise school fees. Then they say, okay. Then they go and then they say, by the way, guys, if you want us to be able to deliver to your children, we're going to have to raise the school fees by 30,000 bob.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Ministry can be in Jogo House saying whatever they want, but are they around the country? They're not. At the end of the day, you want your child to go to school. There is a fundamental flaw in this system that allows things like this to continue to happen. It's the same flaw that allows you to not send the full capitation. It's the same flaw that says, okay, well, you need placement. Yeah, okay, we're telling you not to do it. Same thing. The thread has been unraveled throughout this whole system.
You see the reason I'm calling for free, quality and accessible education so that we can cut all this wastage.
True.
We must. Another CS home, in my opinion, must go.
Education?
Yes.
Kitambo sana rasujumbo na kwa
wamechelewa.
Wamechelewa sana kwenda nyumbani because what? How do you have crisis after crisis after crisis on your watch?
You can't do it, just leave.
Come on, man.
It's that simple, man.
Yes.
Boruna Jaibisha, like, what are you taking home as your legacy, as a failed CS? Someone who let down millions and millions of children. Children who in the future will say, this CS let us down.
If anything, we can call this thing out and just call it what it is. Come on. You cannot be having major crises in your ministry every month. I was talking to one of our editors at KTN yesterday, Gilda, and she said, you know what? During our meeting that we had, and she said, you know what? In the education sector, literally every week in 2025, there's a story.
Yes.
Every week there's something. How can you have crisis after crisis after crisis after crisis in your docket? Wouldn't you wonder, hey, okay, guys.
Talk at I mean, CS education, you have proved to us that you cannot do it. Thank you for the time you've been with us.
Yeah, Santi.
Please
it's been real. Hey,
come on. Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
Keep it moving. Living on a needle's edge when your child has type 1 diabetes, something we've actually covered here. Hospital, you see, another crisis. We don't even have to look.
Another CS.
No. Another CS. Hospitals crisis persists as Dwale Medics pay deal deadlock drags on. You want to send clinical officers, by the way, who bear the majority of the responsibility when it comes to you presenting yourself in hospital. You see these hospitals that we are at, level 2, 3, 4. Likelihood of the person that is going to diagnose you or see you after triage is a clinical officer.
Yep. Who is on strike
today. Who is on strike today?
Why? Because Ndwala feels there are only a few, we should not address their issue.
Yeah.
They should come, all of them in thousands, then we can deal with them. Well, as you say that, lives are at risk.
We have leaders who are full of themselves.
So another CS who must go. I will not tire. If it's bad, it's bad.
Jamani.
You know?
I don't even know. I'm only on page 12. But please, go to the
All
next
right.
one.
So you think it's any better on my side? Okay. TSC jobs, grade 10 slots scandal. Welcome. Education. A criminal probe is underway following complaints. Jobless teachers paid hefty bribes hoping to secure employment by the Teacher Service Commission but were left clutching fake hiring letters. So kuja nipateka kitu, then the letter you're given does not exist anywhere. Queries on 4 billion shillings crisis spending by State House. The Control of Budget and the Parliamentary Budget Office have raised a red flag about the additional spending by State House without National Assembly's approval, questioning its justification under a constitutional provision that restricts such expenditure to emergencies. The President's office says the funds are for other operating expenses.
Okay.
Many billions being spent at State House, which one would just say is a place where one just goes to sleep, and an office.
Okay. Okay.
Yet we do not have capitation, and the teachers are also not being hired. We have clinical officers on the streets. Couple, 2 children killed in Karai crash. They are now after enjoying December holidays in Gatundu. James Njoroge, his wife Teresia Wanjiru, and their 3 children, Mark Kabui and Claire Wanjiru, on Sunday set off the journey back to Gilgil as the family boarded a matatu. They had hoped for an eventful trip, having previously routinely shuttled between their 2 homes, but these turned out to be their last ride together. I mean, right now we know we have the back to school where everybody is going and the drivers are doing their thing, but we are asking everyone to just be careful on the roads, man. It's not worth it. You are just 80 and 80. Because I can confirm many vehicles, especially PSVs, do not go at 80.
Yes. Yeah, they tamper with the
speed governors. Yeah.
And then let's try to be courteous.
So again, another CS.
Another CS.
Yes.
Another CS.
And counting. I think we're at 4 now. We're at 4 now.
Yeah.
I think courtesy in our roads will save lives.
Will save lives.
You know, sometimes I even forget who the CS for roads is.
Churchill, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. You may have the right of way, but just be courteous.
Just be courteous.
Could save someone.
Yeah. Mishuki did it. He was Minister CS. He did it. We've seen it work. Yeah. So even this CS can make it work. Ikiwa ngumu, work. Go.
Yes, ikiwa ngumu. Thank you for showing up.
Yes, it's been real. Burberry claims Rock TSC as hiring cartel exposed that's there, and cash for places come hits grade 10 intake. Ndu, you are talking about. Let me just tell you. Parents claim they've been asked to pay between 50,000 shillings and 400,000 shillings for slots.
This is apart from school fees and uniform and books and all of those
You've
things.
not paid 53,000 shillings, which is school fees.
Right.
You need to pay 400,000 shillings for your child to just get a slot.
Okay.
And you know what the CS will say? They're investigating.
We are investigating.
No, the CS will tell you, no, they've told people not to do it.
Not to do it, yeah. If you are asked, please come report to us. But here we are telling you it is happening. Mr. CS, inafanyika. Yes. Alarm in legal circles over high bar exam failure rate. Where? The results... I think it's CLE, Commission of Legal Education. Okay. Fresh concern have been raised over the persistently high failure rate in the Kenya School of Law bar examinations. This is after new data from the Council of Legal Education revealed only 397 of the 1,834 candidates who sat the November 2025 Advocates Training Program examinations passed all 9 units.
Okay.
Who is your lawyer?
Do you know?
Ndio swali.
At this rate.
Then KCSE results to be announced next week. We're waiting for that. Here now we know there is a proper announcing and grading that we will see which school performed better. Parents want uniform supply centralized to curb exploitation. Why would parents be doing that? Because you go to every school and you're told that shop at the corner is where you go to buy. Who owns it? The principal.
Yes, nowadays you go and try and get something in another shop, but if you go to school, you have everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why is it we can't all have a similar uniform for all grades?
Who was? I think it was Githonguri MP Wabushoba who was saying that, you know what, this uniform thing, first of all, let's get rid of it, or we all have the same uniform.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's because si watu wanataka tenda.
There's uniform for primary school.
Yeah.
There's uniform for junior school. And if you happen to have an international system in that school, there's a different uniform. All in the same school.
If you have a high school, there's a high school as well. If you had a TTC as well, there's a, anyway.
Things to think
Kamanya,
about.
what do you have at
the star is shining. And my all-favorite Kenyan for now, Nancy Gatungu.
All right.
She's here. She's telling us. But before that, the headline reads, Election 2027, Bandi splashes 240 billion for security teams. Please, 240 billion for security teams.
Kenya has 240 billion.
Yes, just for security around the 2027
election.
I was just asking because there's a group of people wanaenda shule. I'm just asking, and they've only received half of the money that they're supposed to receive for this term. I'm just asking a question. Sorry, please carry on.
Let me tell you what Bandi says. In his wisdom.
His wisdom.
In his wisdom.
Tell us more.
He says that in the run-up to the 2027 elections, Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Bandi is poised to allocate 330 billion for key state agencies responsible for security and election management.
I have a question.
Please.
Can I ask Ndu? I have the permission.
Yes, please.
In the budget that we already have, there is allocation that has been allocated to security agencies, right? Which is their salaries and for them to operate even during an electioneering period. So in your wisdom, why do you have to set aside extra additional funds for security? What does that say?
How do you want me to pata pesa ya maziwa na nyanya? Na wewe surely asking hard questions before coffee.
Anyway, yet remember the shares that you're selling at Safaricom is 200 billion, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Connected.
Nasema tu.
Yeah. And just note, that is just for security and election management. Devoid of what? The 61 billion that IBC will receive, which I wonder, doesn't
they won't give them the whole 61 billion.
Yeah.
They won't get the whole amount.
So in essence, we're saying the election together with the security would cost us around 300 billion.
And 30 billion. So
that is an SGR.
You see?
That you're struggling to pay.
So now you understand, when we talk about expensive elections in Kenya, that's an SGR.
That's an SGR.
That you want to use on one day.
Yeah, that's SGR that would be all the way to Malaba, right? Because from here to Mombasa, it's pretty much the second SGR all the way. So Chef Kamalaba.
Yeah.
So sell Safaricom to pay for security. Duh.
Tuko na do, bro. Pesa tuko nayo.
Well, Nancy Katungu says she has flagged 8 ministers for derailing audit reforms.
Let's see if the ones you've chosen this morning are inside that number.
Hey, tell us.
Top on the list.
All right.
Let me quote her because I would hate to impose. It's reported that Auditor General Nancy Katungu has singled out 8 cabinet secretaries for failing to execute parliamentary directives. In a new report, Katungu says that their inaction has led to a near total collapse in financial accountability at various state corporations under their watch. The Auditor General took issues with the ministries for failing to operationalize and grant autonomy to 14 entities as directed by the National Assembly last February. Ministry number 1, Health.
Where did we say? Home.
Go home. Number 2, Agriculture.
Okay.
Third, Mining. Tourism, Trade, Interior, ICT, and Youth Affairs.
Okay. They didn't do what Parliament said.
Yes.
Okay.
They derailed so that audit cannot be done. There is no accountability. You cannot generate a proper audit report.
Okay.
You know what that means?
Tell me.
You have not given the required information for them to be able to check how you spent or how you operated.
Yes.
So essentially, we will not know how much money you spent, whether you used the allocated funds as they were supposed to be, whether you went outside of budget, whether you were whether you exited the rules that had been set aside. So how do we check you if you've not given us the parameters? So what are you hiding?
In short, what you're telling us is taxpayers' money was spent, and there is no way that the Auditor General can tell Kenyans this is how your money was spent.
Yeah, because you refuse to give us the...
When you see these ministries, they all have corporations, where you're supposed to devolve function and back it up with resources. So they do not devolve that function. They keep the resources, so you cannot know why the work was not done and where did the money go, yet it was allocated. And it was a directive from our very incompetent National Assembly. So when a minister defies the law of the land, what is our fate as a country? And number 1 was health.
And the clinical workers are where? On the streets.
And this is just from February.
Yeah.
Just under a year ago.
And a quick one. Business Daily says a distributor has halted the sale of EABL.
Diageo,
Yes, Diageo, because there seems to be some issues around distribution. So it's interesting to see how that 296 billion sale is going to go. But the process has been halted as of now. That's where we stand.
We'll wait and see, Abi.
Yep.
296 billion is...
It's not chicken change.
No, it's security for election management.
It's the money. It is that money we needed to win elections, bwana.
It's election money. It's not, Anyway. Can I tell you that's story of this disturbing story of 15-year-old girl throws her child into the Embakasi River. Residents of Tasia Estate in Nairobi's Embakasi were left in shock after a 15-year-old girl threw a 2-year-old child, I don't know if it was hers, into Embakasi River in an incident that nearly claimed the toddler's life. The child was rescued by a Good Samaritan identified as Stephen Odit, whose quick response prevented that what witnesses say could have been a tragedy. The incident occurred near a bridge separating Savannah Elderville School and Tasia Estate, an area frequented by pedestrians and border operators. Odit said he was walking from Greenspan towards Tasia when the incident unfolded. He said he had opted to walk instead of taking a motorcycle, a decision he believes saved the child's life. From Greenspan, I decided to walk. A motorcycle was charging 50 shillings, but for some reason I decided to walk and observe the area. When I reached the bridge near Savannah Elderville School, I looked back and saw a girl dropping a 2-year-old child into the river. Odit said several people were nearby, but he was the closest to the scene and acted immediately, screamed at the top of my voice and ran towards her with the help of others. We managed to pull the child out of the dirty sewage along the riverbank. The river, heavily polluted with sewage and industrial waste, poses a serious health risk. The rescued child was rushed to hospital after reportedly swallowing contaminated water and remains under medical observation. Further investigations revealed that the 15-year-old girl had arrived in Nairobi from Bungoma on the 26th of December to visit her aunt who resides in Tasia. According to Odit, the girl initially refused to provide contact details for her guardian and allegedly gave incorrect phone numbers. Border operators at the scene assisted him to persuade the girl to cooperate. Together, they escorted her to the police station where the matter was formally reported. The girl's parents and aunt were later contacted and summoned. They reportedly told officers that the minor had mental health challenges and required psychological support. A visit by this reporter to Tasia Police Station confirmed that the case is under active investigation. An officer on duty who declined to be named cited police regulations, acknowledged the incident. Combination of issues here.
A lot.
Mental health is an issue, that's for sure, because I wondered, was it her child? It's not. Obviously here, but to get to that point, there's a problem.
You know, things that I've just picked here. So we have a 15-year-old who traveled from Bungoma to Nairobi, right? Now, the guardian, a 15-year-old, yesterday was on a Wednesday.
Yes.
On a Wednesday, ought to be in school. So questions then abound, why wasn't this child in school? And appears to seem as though, I'm not sure, as though she was taking care of the 2-year-old. So then ask the question, is it a question of, then again, child labor that we're seeing and it is being reported?
Sure.
This child as well is reported of having mental challenges. So what has the guardian do to a mentally challenged child? Is it the right thing to leave her with a child?
Why was a 2-year-old baby in the care of a 15-year-old girl who clearly has mental challenges?
You know what I mean? Yeah, and then aside from that, then we even go further to look at other things, because this child has been treated after swallowing what? So then we go back to our county. Sewer system, drainage system, all is a mess. Like we said, Governor Pia where? Home.
Well, thank you to the gentleman.
For sure. Yes, Odit.
He
get your flowers.
Yeah, please.
Get your flowers.
But it's a sad story, because to imagine the 2-year-old is very innocent.
Yeah.
In their
even
own,
the 15-year-old.
Even the 15-year-old. In all their innocence, they thought they were under proper care. But the person they had been left to care for them was incapable. If you cite mental health, they're being underage. And we don't know what other stresses may have been around them, because what's the trigger? Yeah, what triggered, what drove them to an extent of thinking, I can get rid of this baby. It's sad. But thanks to the gentleman, because this story would have gone
totally
different.
Yeah.
But we need to think, as you say, how is our social setting? Even such young girls were never traveling all the way to Nairobi. What are they coming for? Are they coming for work? Is it child labor?
Yeah.
You know, why is that? The school, when the school system fails, it makes it difficult. But let me tell you, this is where we get angry. You have about 11 million children going to primary school. Only less than 6 million go to high school. She's one of them who do not go. They get into early marriage, they get into child labor and all those things. Then of about 6 million who go to high school, less than 1 million make it to the universities.
True.
And this is what we end up with.
This is very
true. If only we structured our education properly,
the floor. I'm telling you, if we fixed the education system, we fix the country.
You realize that today, if this child was actually going to school and if the education system was working, that school would have asked for where is this child, the traceability of this child, where they are and the challenges. And because we have teachers who are assisting this child, would have been the first recourse for rescue to this child. So because the education system has failed, everything else fails.
There's a documentary series I'm watching at the moment, and they had to trace. So of course, there was someone who had committed a murder and another crime. And they were able to lock in, and you would think it's a joke, and it could be the movies, but we know the movies are a representative of societal issues. That's what they do, and they traced back, and the way they were able to find this girl, find her family essentially, was because she was enrolled at an educational institution at some point in her young life, and then they were able to trace back because of that, the parents' records were on file, her living residence was on file, any hospital that she had visited for anything was on file, and they were able to trace because of that. These things that we're talking about, let me tell you guys, these things that we're talking about going to Singapore, it's this nitty-gritty that we're talking about.
It's the basics.
It's files. It's small things. I remember also watching something else when this man's job every day in a factory is to go and flip a switch. A switch, that's his job, to go and flip a switch, to come back in the evening and
switch it
off. Because we may look at it as like a mundane thing. But without him doing, I'm sure he had other duties, but without him doing that thing, the operations of the rest of that factory then would be at risk. Are we ready to look at the details? Because that's where the devil lies. It's not these big roads you want. It's the details. It's the small things. Are we ready to look at them? If we are not, park this train that you say wants to go somewhere and deal with that thing. Then put the thing on the road. Otherwise, we are joking. Big time. We're joking. But one thing we're not joking about is that it's 7 o'clock.
To be jam.
Kabisa.
It is now 7 a.m. with ICEA Lion. Protect your today, securing your tomorrow.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira. As the clinical officer strike enters its 17th day, Health CS Aden Duale maintains it will not sign their long-pending CBA. On Wednesday, the clinicians marched from Green Park to Afya House in Nairobi, demanding he signs the CBA. But the CS said he will only sign the agreement once the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers revises its terms to guarantee benefits for all members. According to Duale, the CBA covers only 150 clinical officers.
The document I have for the 150, which I can even sign tomorrow, is for only 150 clinicians working for the Ministry of Health. But as the Minister for Health, I am in charge of all healthcare workers, including the 7,000. So I have told the leadership here, you go consult the Council of Governors, consult the board and the management of our referral hospitals. Let us all agree we move it from 3,000 to 7,000. And then we sign one collective bargaining agreement.
Outside Afya House, Kuko, led by Chairperson Peterson Washira, accused the Ministry of Health of neglect and raised concerns over 19 months of salary arrears.
We are mentally clouded and we are making misdiagnosis not because we want to, but because we have been overburdened and we are suffering from fatigue. We have so many clinical officers who have fallen to substance abuse because they have been affected mentally.
He is saying he is not going to sign alleging that there is a discrimination that will arise. I think that is far from the truth. It is actually the CSU is now discriminating clinical officers because so far we have CBS that have been signed in this ministry for two cadres, for two unions, for KMPDU members and also for the nurses members.
Mama Ida Odinga has called on ODM leaders to resolve internal differences peacefully. Speaking in Nairobi as the party marked the late Raila Odinga's 81st birthday, Mama Ida urged members in leadership to uphold Raila's legacy.
I want to end by appealing to those Baba left in the leadership of the party to reflect deeply and sincerely on his dreams for the party and for our country. Let us approach the problems of the party by always asking ourselves, what would Baba do under these circumstances? I'm sure Baba would tell us, let us sit down and talk. And I'm sure that's my wish, to sit down and talk our differences.
At the same time, ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna reaffirmed his commitment to party unity.
There is no one in ODM. Doesn't matter how many times, how badly you have insulted me. There is no one in ODM I will not sit down with. I want to give you that assurance. You have asked us to sit and talk. I am very prepared. It doesn't matter what has happened between us. As Mama has said, maybe I'm going to extend that olive branch, because Mama, now wewe ndio uko umetuambia water under the bridge. It doesn't matter what you have said to Sifuna or how badly you feel about me. I am prepared to sit down and iron out our issues. The only reason sometimes it spills out, Mom, because we are also human beings, you know. Sometimes mambo inachemkanga.
The body of a second victim trapped under the rubble of a collapsed building in South Sea, Nairobi, was recovered on Wednesday, bringing the 6-day search operation to an end. The first body was recovered on Sunday and was buried on Tuesday in accordance with Islamic rites. Lanciers Alice Wahome blamed the Nairobi County government for approving additional floors on the building, saying preliminary findings point to procedural failures. She said the structure was initially approved for 12 stories but was extended beyond that limit. Wahome, who visited the site alongside Public Service CS Geoffrey Ruku, warned that strict action will be taken against those who approved the extra floors. There were violent clashes between anti-government protesters and security forces in several locations in Iran on Wednesday, as a wave of unrest sparked by the country's economic crisis continued for an 11th day. Iran's semi-official Fars news agency, which is close to the Revolutionary Guards, said 2 policemen were shot and killed by armed individuals in the southwestern town of Lode Gan. Videos posted on social media showed a tense standoff between protesters and security forces, with the sound of gunfire in the background. The protests have so far spread to 111 cities and towns across all 31 provinces, according to the US-backed human rights activist news agency. That's the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people. And we share the same umbilical cord. It shouldn't be like that.
I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing politics of conmanship. And even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. Imabo, utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
We look at the utterances of leaders who are aligned to broad-based, who were initially in ODM. We thought they stand for something. Now they've been exposed.
Because we are a third world country, we are poor. And not because we don't have resources, but we have been robbed senseless.
Look at the wasteful expenditure. Look at how large government lives. And we've said this is something that can be controlled. It happens in many other countries.
Internally, we used to stand and tell him, boss, hii kitu ni mbaya. And you'd say, now he doesn't, let me tell you, You saw the other parliamentary group meeting. People went there, sat, listened, looked at him. There was no plenary, left.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
In this country, 6 families and 8,000 Kenyans control 90% of the GDP. We are not a country. We are a plantation. We work for Ruto.
When you're telling the judges court orders are papers or they will not obey court orders, they're sitting and you're seeking orders from them. So how are they supposed to interpret it? Isn't it an oxymoron?
When you see a judiciary that seems to be under some control somewhere, you start questioning. We have very powerful governors, but they don't use their offices to serve the people.
If you are not shameful to do what you are doing, why should we protect you?
I'm human. Everybody's human. So when you're told, kuja tuongee, I mean, you'd be a fool to say, stagi kuongea. Conversations have to be had, you know?
People in leadership should only go into leadership if they are ready and willing to change the lot of the people.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
A very good morning to you at now 9 minutes after 7 o'clock, and you tuned into the Situation Room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation, where we get into them this morning, and so thank you for doing that with us. Live streams are up on YouTube, Facebook and on X, and our audience on KTN this morning. Karibuni sana. Dennis Aseto, Joe Kamanya and Okoh with you this morning as we get into Kenya's biggest conversation. Some of those issues we'll be discussing this morning. But I want to welcome you back, and I see that some of you are killing it. You are working on your goals, you're crushing them, you're making moves. But be honest with yourself for a second. Do you ever have that moment, that internal voice that says, everyone else has a plan, but me, I really need to get my act together? Do you think about that sometimes? I'm sure you do. I do. That's for sure. And that's why when you think about all of this, you need to get your future locked down. That feeling is real. But listen, getting a plan doesn't have to be intimidating or elitist. That's what I'm talking about, ICA Lion. They're cutting through the noise and they're making financial planning relatable. Whether you're just starting out or looking to secure a comfortable retirement, they have plans to get you through to the next step, to build wealth, to protect your assets, and to prioritize retirement security. Stop worrying about the future and start planning for it. Get the easy personal plan that works for you. The question is, what's your plan? Find out more at icealion.co.ke. You can do that, and we want to get to the place where we keep winning and winning. So let's talk about that once in a lifetime chance to win a dream getaway. Have you always wanted to do that? I have. All thanks to the KCB winning card. And how can you do that? Well, all you need to do is make sure that when you shop, you pay with your KCB card. Whether it's your, and this is how it works. If you will bank with KCB and you pay using your KCB debit, credit, or prepaid card, you get a chance to win every single time you pay. So whether you're buying groceries, whether you are fueling your car, grabbing lunch, or shopping, or even paying school fees, just pay with your KCB card and you can get a chance to enter weekly, monthly, and grand prize draws. So 10,000 shillings is what's up for grabs every week. 100,000 shillings is what's up for grabs every month. And you can also get into the grand draw where you walk away with a holiday for 2 to Zanzibar, and flights and accommodation are paid for, as well as exciting excursions. So remember, paying with your KCB card isn't just safe and convenient, it could actually make you a winner. The more you pay using your KCB card, the better your chances of winning. Use your KCB card today, the winning card. Remember that terms and conditions apply, but overall remember that KCB Bank is for people and it is for better. Sawa sawa. All right. So as we get into conversations this morning, we are going to be talking a little bit more about some of the issues that face the leading political party in the country, and perhaps spilling the beans out of this plate. And we're doing that this morning with Wakili and former chief agent of the ODM party, Saitaba Ole Kanchori. He joins us this morning. Good morning, Saitaba.
Good morning, Du.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Good to see you. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Happy New Year.
Morning. Happy New Year.
I imagine it's a new year. We've not seen it this year.
It's a good one.
It is?
It's a good one. It started with a bang.
It did. Okay. That smile is a little bit brighter. Perhaps you'd tell us exactly, but we'll get into it just a bit.
Yeah.
The people of Burkina Faso is where we are visiting this week.
Yes.
Let's hear from Dennis.
A country whose president is loved the world over for the things he's doing for his people. Yeah?
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
The land of upright men.
Ibrahim Traore. We woke up to information that there has been assassination attempts again on his life, but the man is alive and we thank God for that. But now, the Burkinabes are telling us the horse cared by 2 grooms dies of hunger.
The horse?
Farasi.
The horse scared by?
Cared by 2 grooms dies of hunger.
We have a similar saying among the Maasai. We say that in Maasai we say Joy Yoki Kage making tire. Making tire. So the Maasai will understand what I've just said. So what it means is a cow once said, give me away, but don't let anybody borrow me. It means if it is borrowed, it belongs to you and to that person. So nobody will take care of it. Not the person who has borrowed it and not the owner. So what it means is there has to be responsibility for anything. You know, there has to be someone, there has to be someone responsible and in charge of something. So when something when more than one person is responsible for one task, that task will not be done.
Absolutely. Will not be done.
Said, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that it just ties into some of the stuff we'll be talking about today, but just a little bit of a sidebar is that, Christina, we see your comments this morning about what you've been talking about getting your kids into school, and it cannot be an easy situation to be in at the moment. So we're going to pick that up a little bit because it's necessary for us to look at it, and it's also surely representative of what other people may be going through. You've paid school fees and somebody is not releasing your children. This is actually against the law.
Yeah.
Your children should be in school. So let's delve into that a little bit more, but just hang tight. It's something we're going to look into for sure, Christina. And so we're going to probably ask you to get in touch with us on a further level so that we can now look into this a little bit further. But just hang tight. We'll definitely come to that. Sawa. Okay. We're getting into this conversation, Saitaba. And over the weekend, just getting into the weekend, people started spewing all kinds of things. And as a result of that, other would-be truths or allegations then came out. And the word traitor also then made its debut amongst ODM intricacies.
Yes.
And it seems as though a cover has then been lifted over what was truly happening. But nobody ever said anything about it until given an opportunity. It seems as though the house was burning down, and now is when people want to take fire extinguishers to the thing, and it's already being razed to the ground. What's going on?
So thank you so much, Ndu. You know, I like the way you have put it in the advert that is out there. Crisis or rebirth. I think you've really captured that caption captures it very clearly, because you know, the context is important. The context of what is happening is very important. Many times we miss the context, and if you don't understand the context, you will not understand the content. Okay? So the context is, why is what is happening the way it is happening when it is happening? Okay? That is context. Why is what is happening the way it is happening when it is happening? And this is important, not just for the ODM party, but also for the nation. Because there is a process that is happening in the country. It appears like it's a crisis. It's not a crisis.
Okay.
You know, there is something that is going on. It's a bit of a universal thing, whereby the new is struggling to be born, and the old is dying. You know, these two processes of life, birth and death, are very painful. They're very painful when they're happening. You know, birth is a joyous thing, but it is painful when it is happening. Death is painful, and it is painful when it is happening. So both of them are struggles. So what you're seeing in the ODM party, and what you're seeing in the country, and even in the region, in Africa and in the region, is that the old is dying. And there is that struggle, you know, the kicking and the screaming. And the young, or the new, let me put it that way, the new is also struggling to be born. Now, what happens in that kind of a situation is that the old is trying not to die, of course.
Of course.
All right? And the new is struggling to be born. And if we are not careful, the old will ensure that the new is a stillborn. Because the old has an interest in ensuring that they remain. We have heard some of them saying that they have the password to Kenyan politics, whatever that means. You know, one thing you cannot control is age, and time passes. So what is happening in the ODM party, so that I get to it, and what happened over the weekend. And I want to give a bit of context as well.
Okay.
Because the content is well known. It's out there. You know, we had a bungled election, bungled by IEBC and bungled by ourselves as Azimio. The players in that are well known. My role is clear, what role I played. The role that the others played is also clear. So the content is essentially not something that is, you know, it is something that has always been out there.
Let's just clarify that you were the chief agent of ODM during this election.
Yes, I was Baba's national chief agent.
Right.
You know, national chief agent in charge of the elections. Okay. So, and in that election, of course, we know what happened, that Baba did not win. And the reason he did not win, I have written a book called Why Baba is Not the Fifth. And a lot of these things that are happening now are all in that book. There's nothing new, I can tell you. And you know, the good thing with the truth is that there's only one version of it. You know, there are many editions, you know, of a lie. A lie has many editions.
Yeah.
A lie today can be called Hustler Nation. Tomorrow it will be called Mama Mboga. The other day it will be called Boda Boda. The other day it will be called Singapore.
Okay.
Those are the many editions of a lie. But the truth has only one version. And you know, the reason you can call me here is because I have been consistent. And I challenge anybody, you know, to tell me if I have ever contradicted myself. And I have said some of these things a zillion times. You will not find one place where I have contradicted myself on any issue that I have put out in the public.
Okay.
Okay? So because the truth does not vary. There's only one version of it.
So we look at things that have been thrown there. So there is Uhuru Kenyatta's name that has been said in terms of he gave out 500 million that was that for some weird reason never got to the agents. You as the chief agent and everything that is being said, Kenyans want to know, is it true that chief agents were not paid, that someone misappropriated the funds that were meant for the chief agents at the time, and that is the reason why Raila Odinga lost the election?
Yeah, so the issue of the payment of agents. First of all, as chief agent, my role, my position was not a paid position. So I was never paid. And I never wanted to be paid. That is not a position you do for money. Because if I did that position for money, I could have sold out to the other side. If my, if what my consideration was the payment, the other side could have given me a higher offer. So my position was not paid. But of course, we had to compensate and remunerate our agents, if not for anything else, just for their time and for the trouble that they took. And the problem really of the Azimio issue is not so much about the payment of agents. I don't want us to get really muddled in one item. The problem is in the management of agents. So because before you pay the agents, first of all, you must have agents.
Yes.
Okay. And I've explained here in this show and in other places, and including in my book, that we had a chaotic management system that was sabotaged from inside by the players I have mentioned in the past. I have mentioned, I have said Junet was front and center of that mismanagement and bungling. I have said Makau Mutua had a role to play in that mess. And I've said Joe Musheru was the other person. The reason I put these people, I put them on the spot in this matter is because the management of agents is not the responsibility personally of the chief agent. It is the responsibility of the command center.
Yes.
Because we are talking about 100,000 plus people who you cannot manage. You cannot imagine that I can pick my phone and call 100,000 people. And at the same time, I'm talking to Chebukati. At the same time, I'm watching the other side. There are so many balls in the air. So you need a team. And that team is set up using a command center. The command center was set up, but it was it was shambolic. I have called it the Tower of Babel, because it was a wonderful edifice, like the Standard here and the Spice station. It was like this. It was a fantastic place with all the equipment and all the screens and whatnot, but nothing worked.
Did you know at the time that nothing worked, Saitapao?
So we started getting indications weeks to the election that there was a problem, maybe a month to the election. But everything that we tried, you see, sabotage is a very dangerous thing. When the problem is from inside, you can control anything that is from outside. But when it is from within, and you're being sabotaged by the people who are running this process, not outsiders, Makau Mutua, for example, was what we would even say the head. He was the head of the command center.
The principal.
He was the head of the command center. He was in charge of the command center. So the command center, there had to be someone responsible for everything that is happening, because a lot of things happen in a command center. You are taking the names of agents, you are issuing letters, you have the logistics team, you have the tallying people, you have a lot of things that are supposed to happen. Now, Makau Mutua used to sit with his feet on the table, in all that chaos, and not asking, why is nothing happening? And when you will take a complaint to him, he will just, rubbish it. Junet the same. And Junet himself, I would say, played even a more critical role, because Junet is a politician. He knows how politics works. When you are bringing new names of agents, even up to the last day of the election, you're still sending names of agents. How do you expect that system to work? How do you expect those agents to be verified? How do you expect them to be trained? How do you expect them to be deployed? How do you expect them to be paid?
So let me
and on the issue of the money, 1 minute as I come, so that it doesn't look like I have avoided the issue of the money. Now, the money that was paid for agents, because it turned out later that some money was paid, a lot of money was paid, was given or donated for the payment of agents. As it turns out, that money was close to 500 million shillings, And that money, it is a command center run by those three people, Makau Mutua, Junet, and Musheru. And I have specified their roles in the command center. Now, it is them who are supposed to disburse that money. Now, that money, supposedly, I have said it in this show before, and I like to be consistent. It is said that money was paid out. Yeah, it is said that money was paid, because there was never a refund made to anybody.
Yes.
So where the money went, it is only those three people who can tell us. Yeah.
Now, I think the post-mortem of the ODM performance is continuing for far too long. This is the fourth year after almost, since the election was concluded. And I'm beginning to wonder, when we talk about sabotage and trying to cite that Baba may have, Azimio rather, may have lost because of the mismanagement of the agents. Yeah. I'm wondering what was the key role of the agents, because once you have the agents, like all the other candidates do, like the gubernatorials and all the senators, they are actually not the ones who get to vote, or it's merely observing and tallying, making sure everything goes as it were, and then reporting to your command center and other functions as you may have delegated. But at the core of the tallying of the votes is the IEBC.
Correct.
So when we say that the agents were mishandled either they did not show up or they were compromised, are we saying that even IEBC itself, in the areas where your agents did not perform as you expected, was compromised?
That's a very good question, Jos. And you know, I look forward to the day in this country. I don't know whether it will come. I pray it does. I look forward to the day that we will never need agents. Because, first of all, it makes our elections so cumbersome. It is impossible right now for just an ordinary Kenyan to run for a big office in this country, because you may have the support of the people, but being able to pay agents, I've told you that for the presidential, we were talking about 500 million shillings. Where do you get 500 million shillings if you're an ordinary person who is popular, who needs to, who needs to serve this country in that capacity? If you want to be governor, your agent's bill alone could be close to 100 million or 50 million at the very least. So IEBC, we have an institution called IEBC. And it is a crime shame that it is getting worse, because I can tell you today, Jos, and I don't like to sound like I am always, but when you're in a country where things are happening the way they're happening, we have to call it out. Yes. The IEBC we have today is worse than the IEBC we had in 2022. So the issue of agents is made necessary because if IEBC is not trusted, because IEBC is the one in charge of the management of the election. Yes. It is the one that is constitutionally mandated to deliver credible results. Free, fair, verifiable, credible results. But do we have that in this country? We saw what happened in the by-elections the other day. Shambolic elections. You cannot even call them elections. And there are people who sit in big offices, paid huge salaries from the taxpayer, who act like that is not a big deal. It's business as usual. So the issue of agents is necessitated by the fact that we don't have a functional IEBC. We don't have what the Constitution envisages, because the Constitution envisages that the IEBC would live up to its name. The first letter in IEBC is I. Independent. That it will be impartial. That it will be independent, that it will be fair, that it will be efficient, it will deliver the results that the people, the will of the people. Now that day is long in coming, but it is even longer ahead of us. It has not come. The IEBC we have today, I said, the Chebukati IEBC was hijacked along the way. The Chebukati IEBC could have even delivered credible results.
Was hijacked
it was hijacked by our opponents, the current president and his team. They hijacked it. They compromised it. Okay, but it was almost like it was intending. But now, of course, maybe the offers became too big. Now the present IEBC, present IEBC was selected, handpicked, for the purpose of delivering bungled elections.
How do you know this?
I know this because it is in the public domain. We're in a media house, and you guys are a place of record. This is one of the media houses that I respect so much, because you have been front and center in telling the truth as it is. And I am a truthful man, not the other truthful man. This is the real truthful man.
Not the man, the man.
The man. No, this is the truthful man.
All right.
And the truth of the matter, and it is in the public domain. And the reason you guys are the fourth estate is because you're also a house of record. Okay? You're a house of record. Just like Parliament is a house of record, and courts are a house of record, and the executive is a house of record, because nothing is done without being recorded. The media is also a house of record. And I pray that we can also be pulling out some of these things, so that people don't forget. It is said that Kenyans have a short memory, but it's also because we don't remind them often enough.
Okay.
So the chairman of IEBC, Ethekon, is a relative of a State House advisor or whatever it is, that deputy guy, Josphat Kamanya. The other people, the name was given by this one, the name was given by this one, the name was given by the other one. Today, and the by-elections that we had a month or so ago, proved that these people are incapable, because an independent IEBC would not have allowed that kind of thing to happen. An independent IEBC would have taken charge, because the elections are in the hands of IEBC. When you have a minister a CS, taking a polling station hostage. What IBC should have done is to recount the results of that polling station, and not, IBC has powers. Returning officers have legal powers.
Yes.
To prevent this kind of things that we see.
Indeed. Yeah.
When they allow it, it is deliberate.
And there are a lot of growing concerns, as you say, around how IBC is handling itself. That I agree. But back to the issue of the agents of the Azimio, what would have been different if they had been paid? What is it they were expected to do to secure the win of Azimio?
Was it just a payment issue?
Or was it a payment issue?
So it was,
and as you answer, are you still in ODM yourself?
Yeah. So what would have been different if there was not a mismanagement of the agents issue is that we would have had a reference point to challenge the shenanigans of IEBC. Okay? But because there was that, what is now appearing to have been deliberate internal sabotage, we didn't then have any reference point to say these are the proper true results, and they ensure that happened, because the only way you can challenge IBC is to now produce, But in the Supreme Court, by the way, because later we were able to produce some of these things, in the Supreme Court we produced some of those results from polling stations, which were totally at variance with what IBC put in the portal. Because what IBC put in the portal, it wasn't in your headlines yesterday, that the Venezuelan company that we have procured, and that is a system IBC is still using.
Yes.
Yeah. That system, it is now in the public domain, thanks to the standard. That system is very easy to interfere with, to manipulate. Now, in the Supreme Court, we raised the issue of Josphat Kamanya. That was a real issue. We raised the issue of internal, that IBC had people. Some of them were arrested when they were coming with critical election materials. Foreigners. I mean, it was a mess. So the IBC, and once you don't have a proper system of agents, then you really need an IBC that functions, and that is not
okay. So if the agents were doing what they were supposed to do, and from what we understand here is that they were guardians of a process on behalf of the party, how would that have even been possible if now, from the revelations that we are privy to in 2025, it was very clear that even within the party, y'all seem to have been working at cross purposes? There were those who wanted to take money, there were those who wanted an election one, there were those who just wanted to be in the room,
Yeah.
Can we blame IEBC, Saitabal? Can we blame IEBC for the malfunction of ODM during an election process? Because it is coming out very clearly now that the names are being called, things are being slung at everybody. When ODM is fighting within itself, there's no IEBC.
Yeah. So, fair enough. We cannot blame IEBC for what happened to Azimio. Okay? But we must blame IEBC for what happened in the election, because they are the ones who are supposed to deliver a credible election. We as Azimio, it is not our role to deliver a credible election. Ours is just to participate in the election. In fact, the issue of agents is a peripheral issue. You do it simply because you are allowed to monitor the process. To protect your vote, right, and to monitor, also to see what is happening, in the interest of transparency. But it is IEBC that has the constitutional mandate and responsibility. We give IEBC close to 10 billion shillings to run an election. 10 billion shillings, maybe more now.
61 billion is what it's being looked for.
We see now.
61 billion.
Just for the election.
Yeah.
Just for the election. Now, look at that. So that money, what is it for if we don't get value for it? IBC, we're talking about agents. Agents, IBC has more than 7 officers. I think close to 10 if you count the police officers in a polling station. IBC has their eyes, ears, and everything in every polling station. So why do we have malpractices in polling stations if it is not just crookedness? As we are a very crooked society, and it is always about who has taken what. Now, I want to give you a context of this altercation in ODM. You know, if you go back slightly to what Sifuna said, you know, Sifuna did not even attack Junet. Sifuna simply asked a question. You know, he said, Junet, you, first of all, why are you all of a sudden, Uhuru's money has become bad. You need to explain to us what happened to the agents and why were they not paid. He didn't even tell him you ate the money for the agents. Now, the next or the same day, Junet comes out guns blazing and issues the statement he did. Now, the reason that I've come very hard on Junet, and I have, and without any apology, the reason I've come hard on him is because Junet should be the last person. You know, it was the first time in his life, or since 2022, that he was addressing the issue of 2022. And he's only doing that because Baba is not there. Because while Baba was alive, Junet never spoke of 2022, not even once. I think even in his house, he could not talk about it. He never spoke about it publicly. So today, or that day, he took advantage of the fact that Baba is not there to give us a lot of hogwash and tell us how he was very trusted, how he had been promoted, how it is Uhuru and his brother. You know, a lot of rubbish. And I had to set the record straight. I had to set the record straight because Junet, given the role that he played in bungling that election, should be the last person. He has no moral authority to speak about 2022. Without Junet, 2022 would have been very different. Without Junet as a person, 2022 would have been very, very different.
So the fights that we see today in ODM and the internal fights that we see today, there are those who sabotage the 2022 election. There are those, the very same ones who are saying that we are in broad-based government and we are not leaving this, despite the last time we were here with you, there is that statement that Baba said, who told you the election, that ODM would not field a candidate. So the internal fights that we see today in ODM and even matters to do with the 2022 election. How does ODM move forward?
Yeah,
does it have any room for it to stay alive?
Yeah, that's a good question, Dennis. You know, the issue that you are seeing is not so much about 2022. It is more about 2027. It is that dying and rebirth, or birth, death and birth. So, you know, the other reason that some of us have come out guns blazing is because the same people who put us in a mess in 2022 are now out there trying to put us in a bigger mess in 2027.
Which is?
They are, you know, their expertise is broken. They are power brokers. They are people who are always putting their interest before the interest of the country. There are people who are always trying to make a quick, you know, a killing in every situation. You know, they are trying to make a windfall. And so they have seen an opportunity now because William Ruto is very desperate. And without ODM, William Ruto will just pack his bags. He will not even go to the ballot. Without ODM, William Ruto will just pack his bags quietly and go to Sugoi, where he has a beautiful place. He has beautiful places everywhere. He has a place to go. I don't even know why. I don't even know why he's insisting. The man has many palaces all over the country. You know, let him just retire to one of his palaces. We have no problem. Then we can put someone who can run a country. Because
so you're saying the president and his current administration, in order to have a win in 2027, need ODM?
He does not just need ODM. He desperately needs ODM.
Does he need ODM to be intact, or does he need ODM to be falling apart at the seams as it currently is? So what does he need?
You know, I know a thing or two about our president, our beloved president, and you know, there's an English word called Willie. You know, and it just happens that he's also William. You know, he's a very cunning man. You know, and this one everybody I think knows. You know, William Ruto does not. He because he has already taken care now. IBC is in his pocket. So what he needs is an illusion of I have the ODM support. Then, if that illusion is there, because politics is about perceptions, then he'll know how to manage the strongholds to ensure that the ballot reflects that illusion. Yeah, even if there is voter apathy or there is the actual reality is different, he'll namna hii, you know. So that is what he's trying to do. Without that illusion of an ODM support, then he has no basis to claim that he got, you know, whatever number of votes in Kilifi, or in Siaya, or in Mombasa, or in Turkana, or in Homa Bay. So that's why he's very, you know, desperate.
However, it would appear as though it would need ODM support on his side, but it appears to me that if ODM is ripping apart at the seams as it currently is, that is what is an advantage to William Ruto and his current administration. If ODM falls apart as it currently is, because you can say it's raining when the sun is shining, but we can see, for all intents and purposes, what is going on right now. It's the biggest party in the country at the moment politically, also in terms of representation in parliament, which is important. But there's a burst at the seams. And if you ask me, when an enemy or when an opponent sees that their opponent or their rival is not put together, that's greatly advantageous to them, is it not?
You see, ODM is no longer a rival to William Ruto at this point. You know, he does not see it as a rival because because of the deception and all that. These are the things that have been done in the last few months. He wants to create the impression that he's Baba's rightful successor. You know, the most ridiculous thing, if you ask me, that has ever been done in this country. That ODM, which was made, created, built on the sweat, blood, and tears of Kenyans who have suffered greatly under the likes of William Ruto. ODM, which is, you know, is a party that is built on principles that William Ruto is completely opposite.
Is it though? I'm sorry, Saito. Yes. Is it though? Because you're talking about some money, 500 million shillings, which we don't know where it went. We're talking about infighting, where somebody's saying somebody was supposed to be in control. That never happened. But then in the same breath, we are saying that a party was built on principles that nobody else has.
But no.
This gentleman, who is currently the president, beat ODM and Azimio at its game in the 2022 election. Whatever process they managed, whatever they did, they beat it. And if you ask me right now, if people are going to be running a race, the fella is at the line with his shoes on while ODM is still in the hostel trying to find its T-shirt. This is what we're talking about.
Which votes does he have? But there's a maybe just to clarify. You know, ODM is not Junet, and it's not me, Saitabawa. It's not. ODM is the people who support ODM. You know, the millions of Kenyans. The millions of Kenyans who support ODM have supported ODM because of the ideals that ODM stood for, or stood for. Let me call it stood for, because at this point, the jury is still out. You know, at the end of the day, it depends on which side of ODM wins. There are two sides. You've talked about the tug of war. So there are those of us who are pulling on the ideological basis of ODM, and we are saying our ideological basis as ODM is completely, you know, opposed to what William Ruto stands for. We cannot work with him. There are the parasites who are pulling in the other direction. And that tug of war, whoever wins that tug of war will determine the texture and tenure of ODM moving forward.
Now, looking at it from what you're saying, that ODM is not just the leadership, it is the membership mostly.
Yes, it's mostly the membership.
And rightly so. And then we're heading in 2027. I'm wondering, even as the two functions pull to different sides, you have the birth and the death, the old and the young. The young are saying, we need to move on, we need to do things differently, we don't want to be, we are not broad-based in a manner of speaking.
Yes.
And the others are saying, no, this is where Baba left us. So two questions come up. One, were people loyal to Baba? And now that he's not there, ODM will not be the same again? And two, given the state of the nation, because you look, we just this morning we're talking about health and many other issues, education. They're affecting Kenyans across God, including the ODM members. So even if the leadership of ODM, those who are
broad-based, were to continue to 2027 in support of William Ruto as the president seeking his second term, will the masses move away to go and vote for a president, as you say, who will come now and manage the country better? How do you see it playing out?
If you want to understand ODM, look at the person who embodied the spirit of ODM, and that is our leader and our father, the late Raila Odinga. Now, in his entire life, in his entire political life, Raila Odinga was the kind of person who, every time there was an issue affecting the people, he would come out and speak about it. He would come out and fight for the people. Now, these people who are calling now themselves broad-based, whatever they are calling themselves, have you heard any of them talking about the issues affecting the people?
No, we have not.
No.
Have you heard Junet come out and say, with tremendous respect, Mr. President, this capitation issue is affecting Kenyans adversely. With respect, we know that we are partners, whatever it is, but you need to ensure that you put your house in order, because we have a country to run, and the people of Kenya are suffering. That is what we expect. Then that is what Baba would have done. Instead, we have a choir, because when people are fighting for their stomachs, I keep saying this.
Yes.
These parasites, a parasite has only one role in their life, is to suck the blood of the host. These parasites, and their names are known, are doing nothing else. They are sucking the blood of the host, and in the process, they're also bleeding the country dry.
So, Saitabao, as we talk about that, then if you look at what Ruto gets to benefit in an ODM that is not working, and we look at both sides, some that are supporting him beyond 2027, does it then, would one be right by saying that the chaos that we see in ODM today has been sanctioned by one William Ruto?
No, I don't think so. William Ruto would have really loved it if we all just, lined up. He has looked for all of us. He has tried to get even some of us to get to support him. He would be very happy if ODM would just line up behind him and say, yes, sir, we are here. We are going to support you. He would have wanted a united ODM, and that would have been a formidable thing for him to get. There is no way William Ruto can instigate division or infighting in ODM. That I don't want to blame him for something he has not done.
Therefore, the fights that we see today, then it is we see an ODM that is dysfunctional today because of individuals who are selfish and greedy within ODM who stand to benefit by being in broad-based.
Yes, that is correct, but also because the people who mean well for ODM and for this country are fighting back to ensure that ODM does not go down the road to perdition, which is if we support as ODM, if we support William Ruto, not only would we have lost our party, but we will also lose our country.
Okay.
The thing about parasites. Let me clarify something that has not been said before. When you talk about these parasites, at the end of the day, the host that they are sucking is the country, because even William Ruto is a parasite. He's a parasite. He's a chief parasite. He's a chief parasite because everything that he has, all the money, this government has collected the most money in terms of taxes, heavy taxation, in terms of borrowing than any other government in the history of this country. Where is the money going? Where is that money going? They are sucking this country dry. And from that money that they are sucking, they have developed other small parasites, and that chain of that parasitic relationship
is bleeding us dry.
And that is why we're in these problems.
Yeah.
That is why we're in these problems.
If I may, sorry. Because it's not dead yet, is ODM a people's party, or was it Raila Odinga's party? I ask this because the kind of disintegration that we are witnessing today, even if it's not disintegration, it's just people speaking words, we did not see prior to the exit of Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga exits the stage, and suddenly all of these things come to the fore. So what did it mean? Was it his party that was going to be used as a vehicular significance towards position? And that he appointed people, he handpicked people, which we know he did. And then now with his exit, people then can speak out about certain things that they didn't like or that they were uncomfortable about. We have not seen this before. We did not hear about these wrangles before. We did not see. And yesterday, before Mama Ida Odinga spoke, the thing was going up in flames. Senator Eddie Okech had already passed a motion. The other party leaders had already started saying things. There were rumors awash about the possible expulsion of Senator Edwin Sifuna as the SG and a removal as the minority whip in Senate. Before October 19th, we had never seen something like this. So I ask again, was ODM Raila Odinga's party, or was it really the People's Party?
So that is a good question, because someone would wonder: is ODM dying because Baba is not there? And the truth of the matter is this: there's a reason why we all coalesced around Raila Odinga, as ODM. The reason that we coalesced around Raila Odinga is because of what Raila Odinga stood for over the years. Okay? What he stood for over the years. And during his lifetime, Raila Odinga was a strong enough personality because of his leadership credentials. Leadership credentials built over half a century, and built on something, built on certain ideals. And so it was always easy for Baba to call people back to order. And it was also easy, even when we saw that Baba went off track. We knew that he had a default setting. His default setting was the interest of the people. And that is why in 2002, before 2002, when he worked with Moi, people allowed it or followed him because they knew ultimately he had a way to go back to his default settings. In 2007, 2008, when he went to work with Kibaki in the coalition government, he remained, in that default setting. Wherever the people were touched, Baba was there. Even in the the handshake government with Uhuru Kenyatta, Baba had a default setting. The people's interest, regardless of what else he was doing in politics, he never departed from the interests of the people. And you remember, any national issue, Baba will call a press conference. Any national issue, Baba will call a press conference. And he was always that person. And you go to a place where people say, Baba amesemaji, Baba mbona hajaongea, Baba this and that. Now, you see, that is what now we are lacking. There is no one, because we have a leadership in ODM now that he has departed. And Edwin Sifuna is trying to embody that place where Baba stood for, and the resistance that he's getting is because to stand in that position will be critical of the government. And this government right now does not want to be criticized. They want a choir. They want to be told, that they are doing a good job when they are messing the country. So Sifuna, I want to encourage him. In fact, I want to encourage him to continue doing what he's doing. Because he's one of the very few people, and by God's grace, he has a prominent role in the party. Let him play that role, because that is the role Baba would have played, and that is why Baba protected Sifuna. While Baba was alive, he kept telling people, Sifuna has the right to say what he's saying, and Sifuna is speaking for all of us
when he speaks.
Because the default setting of ODM and the default setting of Raila Odinga is the people.
Now, we have seen key persons. Like the Westlands MP,
Timothy Wanyonyi.
Yes, Timothy Wanyonyi, saying that they're going to seek a position in 2027, but not on an ODM ticket. And many others have come out to say, and these are staunch ODM members. I'm tying that to the question I asked earlier, whether also the membership of ODM have left the current leadership of ODM, the political orphans, basically speaking, could they also be looking for other political homes? And once you see such key persons saying, yes, I'm going to be on the ballot, but not on an ODM ticket, what message does that send to the current leadership? And people, are they in order to say, we believed in Baba, you people who are here currently, you don't seem to carry the vision, nor offer us the leadership that the Baba opined, and he embraced. So we are going to look for alternative political parties to continue with the liberation of our country, because ODM was a party of the people, about the people, for the people. Should people also be open enough to say, yes, let's just disintegrate the ODM and go seek our political homes elsewhere.
Yeah, so that's exactly what is happening. You know, people, including myself, right? You know, I am still in ODM, to answer your earlier question.
Yes,
I'm a life member of ODM. So when you're a life member of a party, you have to renounce it. Actually, when you're a member of a party, in either way, because the record is there,
yes,
you will have to renounce it. And especially now that if you know, a life membership, which comes, of course, with greater commitments, I will have to renounce it if I have to. Now, if ODM is able to stand with what it has stood for all this time, which is to put the government in check, to ensure that the government does not mess up the way it is messing up. If it does that, we will remain in ODM. But if William Ruto succeeds, and if the parasites prevail and are able to take ODM to William Ruto, all of us will bolt. Not just even the people. I can tell you, they will remain with a shell. They will remain with a shell of a party. Yeah, there will be nothing to inherit, because all of us will find other homes where the aspirations that we stand for can be effectively represented.
Wow.
Yeah.
What does it look like into the future? Because it's all up in the air in terms of what the decision is. It's not clear. Party leader Oburu Oginga said the other day, well, I am the party leader, and according to the constitution, the party leader is the presidential candidate. Okay, are we in broad base until 2027, until 2032? People are saying other things. Baba never said while he was at the Argyle Hotel. Look, so many things at the same time. And while it is true that you can actually keep your gun in the holster until it's necessary to take it from the hip and shoot, we are in a highly political society where people want to know, to then be able to make a decision about what could happen in the future. But it seems as the ODM itself doesn't even know what it's going to do.
Yeah, so the future is very, very, very bright. The thing about the process of the death and the birth is that the birth always wins. So the birth will win. The old will die. William Ruto himself represents the old. These other people, and the issue of old is not age. It is the ideals. You saw the young people last year coming out to say what kind of country they want. So the future is very bright, because those young people will ensure that we get there. Because now this push is mostly from the people. But in terms of ODM being able to weather the storm, weather the storm or not, it is entirely dependent on how we steer this process. Our leader, our current party leader, Senator Oburu Oginga, should not really take us for a ride, because the issue of being a presidential candidate is not just about being a party leader. For you to be a presidential candidate, there are certain other credentials. So if he cannot stand up even to William Ruto, we have not heard him even once speak for the people. So how is he going to stand as a candidate as president?
Okay.
So that is really, I think it is a head. It's a bit of a joke. Let him stand up to William Ruto first. Let him speak for the people first. Then he can tell us, because he has a right. He's a Kenyan. He can tell us. Then he can tell us whether we can consider his presidential bid or not.
A good question to end on that would then spur further thought, that's for sure. And these are parts of conversations that we should be having, and should they actually be plugged into them. Saitaba Ole Kanchori, thank you for being here with us this morning to be able to look into these things. There's a long road ahead, even though it's short. It's still long.
It is a long one, yes. Thank you, Ndu, anytime.
Asante sana. At a minute past 8, good morning.
It is now 8 a.m. with ICE Air Lion. It is time to plan ahead with ICE Air Lion. What's your plan?
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira. The united opposition has raised concerns over the integrity of Kenya's election technology. It comes days after former Venezuelan intelligence chief told a U.S. court that deposed Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro used the Smartmatic technology system to rig elections. According to the former intelligence chief who oversaw the development of the technology used by the IEBC in the 2017 and 2022 general elections, it is open to manipulation and can be tweaked to alter genuine electoral results. DAP Kenya leader Eugene Wamalwa, speaking in Kipipiri on Wednesday, said the late Raila Odinga was right when he alleged that both the 2017 and 2022 general elections were rigged.
Ile mtandao tunaotumia, teknolojia tunayotumia hapa Kenya is Venezuelan. Hiyo teknolojia ina kasoro. Baada ya huyu rais wa Venezuela kuchukuliwa, now we have evidence ya kwamba the Smartmatic technology ni teknolojia ambayo inakuwa manipulated. It's a tool of electoral fraud. Na hii ni clear evidence imepatikana sasa.
Wamalwa also accused the IEBC of illegally extending the Smartmatic technology systems contract.
Mwaka jana kwa njia ya kisiri yule CEO wa IEBC anaitwa Marjan amefanya extension ya contract ya Smartmatics ili the same company iliyoiba uchaguzi sasa iliyomanipulate itumike tena mwaka ujao. Sisi leo tunasema hatutakubali and we are demanding ya kwamba hiyo Smartmatics contract that was illegally extended lazima iwe terminated na Smartmatics warudi kwao Venezuela.
At the same time, DCP leader Rigathi Gachagua dismissed as mere political rhetoric President William Ruto's plan to transform Kenya into a Singapore-like economy.
Watu wa Kipipiri, mnajua mimi William Ruto niliahidi nyinyi mambo mingi sana hapa Kipipiri na Nyandarua. Nikaambia nitaweka nyinyi pesa kwa mfuko lakini bado. Nikasema nitajenga barabara bado. Nikasema mambo ya viazi nitatengeneza bado. Lakini nimeketi chini nimepanga vizuri sana. Hiyo maneno yote nilitaka kufanya, niko na mpango mpya ya kubadilisha Nyandarua na Kipipiri iwe Singapore.
President William Ruto chaired a high-level meeting on drug abuse at State House, Nairobi on Wednesday. The meeting was attended by Interior CS Kipchumba Murkomen, Interior PS Raymond Omolo, Inspector General Police Douglas Kanja, DCI Boss Mohammed Amin, and Deputy Inspectors General Eliud Lagat and Gilbert Masengeli. In his New Year address, President Ruto declared drug abuse a national crisis, warning that the manufacture and sale of illicit alcohol will be treated as organized crime.
Alcohol and drug abuse has become a clear and present danger to Kenya's health, security, and economic future. 1 in every 6 Kenyans aged between 15 and 65, that is close to 5 million people, are currently using at least one drug. 1 in every 3 Kenyan men in this age group uses drugs or abuses alcohol.
The National Police Service has raised alarm over surge in road traffic accidents that have claimed at least 31 lives in the first 6 days of 2026, terming the trend a national crisis that demands urgent action. In a statement, the NPS said the Inspector General has ordered immediate, stringent and continuous high visibility enforcement across the country. Regional, county and sub-county traffic police commanders have been instructed to intensify operations targeting speeding, drunk driving, unroadworthy vehicles, and compliance by public service vehicles. Breathalyzer tests will also be stepped up, with courts on standby to deal decisively with offenders. A U.S. immigration agent fatally shot a 37-year-old woman on Wednesday in the city of Minneapolis, but the details of what led up to the incident have left a wide chasm between federal and local government officials. Trump administration officials claim the woman, identified as Renee Nicole Good, was a violent rioter attempting to run over immigration and customs enforcement or ICE agents when one agent fired defensive shots into her vehicle. But city and state leaders and Democrats nationally are disputing that account. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey claims that this was an agent recklessly using power that resulted in somebody dying, telling ICE agents, "Get out of our city." That's the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira.
102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
We look at the utterances of leaders who are aligned to broad-based, who were initially in ODM. We thought they stand for something. Now they've been exposed.
Because we are a third world country, we are poor. And not because we don't have resources, but we have been robbed senseless.
Look at the wasteful expenditure. Look at how large government lives. And we've said this is something that can be controlled. It happens in many other countries.
Internally, we used to stand and tell him, boss, hii kitu ni mbaya. And you'd say, now he doesn't let me tell you, you saw the other parliamentary group meeting. People went there, sat, listened, looked at him. There was no plenary, left.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
SRC's mandate is constitutional. It's not an advice. It's actually something you must do.
Must do.
Like now you abandon, of course, the narrative of wheelbarrow, Mutu wa Mjengo, Mama Mboga, and all those, that rosy narrative.
Your expenditure is 3.3 trillion, and you're collecting only 2.5. Out of that 2.5, you're spending 1.8 trillion to service loans and so forth.
That the CDF kit, it's in itself a symptom of corruption.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Good morning at 9 minutes after 8 o'clock and into the third hour of Kenya's biggest conversation on this Thursday morning. It's the 9th of January. No, it's the 8th of January. Look at me, taking you ahead in the month. Maybe that is my desire. We go quicker. But you know what? We've been discussing how to navigate this constantly changing world. And when it comes to your money, you need a plan that's easy to access. The good news is that ICA Line is making your financial journey seamless and digital. And how can we do that? Well, forget the old-fashioned complicated stuff. ICA Line has digital channels like their WhatsApp chatbot, Leo, and the self-service portal, making planning super easy. They even have a retirement preparedness index tool. It helps you calculate exactly how much you need for retirement, and it gives you a specific target to plan towards. ICA Line is making insurance and investments necessities and not luxuries for a diverse group of people. So find your accessible, inclusive, and helpful plan today. Just ask, what's your plan? And check out the digital tools at icealion.co.ke. And I told you, you can actually shop and win while you spend money. What better formula do you have? And you can do all of this with the KCB winning card. When was the last time your everyday payments actually paid you back? With the KCB winning card, every pay takes you closer to a major win. And here's all you have to do. Use your KCB debit, credit, or prepaid card whenever you pay for shopping. Whether you're fueling your car, grabbing lunch, or shopping online, and you get a chance to win weekly, monthly, and grand prize. So weekly winners will walk away with 10,000 shillings, monthly winners walk away with 100,000 shillings, and the grand prize is a holiday getaway to Zanzibar for 2, complete with flights and accommodation, and also exciting excursions. So you need to use your KCB card today. Paying with your KCB card is fast, it's secure, and it is rewarding. So don't just shop. Shop smart and win big. The more you pay with your KCB card, the higher your chances of winning. Use your KCB card today because it is the winning card, and KCB is for people for better. Speaking about better, we always put him to task when he comes here to say, how are we going to make it better for the people? And not just about political parties and what they may have gained or lost. Jeremiah Kioni is the Secretary General of the Jubilee Party, and he joins us here this morning. SG, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
How are you doing?
I don't know, but
you have to think about it.
We are we are in the new year.
Ooh, that's serious.
You know, you have said something that is profound. That we are trying to make things better for people. But the people themselves must also be willing.
True.
For things to be made better. Because without their willingness, it is going to be a zero-sum game.
Tumeanza hata kabla tumeanza. Dennis Aseto has taken us to Burkina Faso this week.
Yes.
I would love to hear your interpretation.
The capital, Ouagadougou, a country of around 23 million people whose economy is pushed mostly by gold and agriculture in the country. And it was formerly called Upper Volta by the French, but Thomas Sankara decided to call it Burkina Faso, which means land of the upright people. And one Ibrahim Traore says that's exactly how we're going to run this country, and a lot of good things we see today coming from Burkina Faso. The proverb that we get from Burkina Faso is the horse cared by two grooms dies of hunger.
The horse cared
for by two grooms dies of hunger. How would you interpret it?
The horse cared for by two grooms dies of hunger. I see ourselves in that scenario. In the opposition. We will die
of hunger.
We do not know who is supposed to feed us. Or either side will be thinking that you are well, but eventually you perish. Yeah, it is. When you have a task and the task has no, it's like giving some work to a group of people without anybody being responsible. That work will not be done. And I see ourselves almost in that scenario as a country.
Okay.
And I think that's why we are looking for a boogeyman.
Some
Did
kind
you
of
find the boogeyman?
magic.
Amepotea. Yeah, that's true. If you don't identify who is responsible for what, whatever it is that you wanted done will not be done.
Will not be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The year started on an interesting note, and some things that you said. You said that Raila's spirit and his legacy will never be erased, and you say that the attacks on Uhuru Kenyatta are a cover for Kenya's economic pains. That's one of the things that you most recently said, because over the weekend it would appear as though Uhuru Kenyatta was attacked, and he's still the Jubilee Party leader.
He is the Jubilee Party leader,
Yes.
and he will remain a party leader for
a while.
For a while.
You say the attacks on him, whereby
comfort or discomfort
of others,
depending on where you are.
And his name has come up recently, where he's been, I don't know if the word to use is accused, or he's been connected with funding a major part of a campaign in 2022, and you've said that it's not really about anybody doling out money, but that there's an economic problem in Kenya that needed to be sorted out. And you say that that's what the attacks are a cover for, and that his name shouldn't actually be brought up.
Actually, he should not be dragged in any of the difficulties that we're having. The problems that those manning the regime now are having is his track record. And what they should be working on is their track record. Instead of attacking him because of what he did, his track record, they should be working on their own track records. I remember, I think Mheshimiwa Ruto saying sometimes in December that when the day comes, we will put our track records on the table. And there could not have been a better statement coming from him than that. And what I again want to encourage him is to work on his track record and leave Uhuru's name out of it. And of course, this time round, you can see his name being dragged through some other individuals who chose to work with him in the broad-based government. But you see, I see your headline here again is betrayed in death. And quite a bit of oranges. There are 3 slices of oranges.
Slices, yes.
And I think the thing is that the spirit of Raila is haunting those who betrayed him, and is haunting them until they are spilling the beans and letting us know some of the things perhaps we did not know, or speaking out loudly of the things we knew. But he also reminded me, yesterday I was thinking about the whole thing, and I remembered one of the kitendawili. Alikuwa anasema kitendawili tega. Umeenda kuogelea kwa mto, mwenda wazimu amekuja amebeba nguo zako. Umetoka kwa mto na unaanza kufukuza mwenda wazimu. Yeye ndiye amebeba nguo zako, wewe uko uchi. Dunia watasema nani mwenda wazimu? Ni wewe mwenye uko hauna nguo. That's exactly where we are. Now we are being made to chase a madman, and we are the one looking like we are mad. This whole thing is just a decoy. A terrible decoy, but one that has failed flat.
For what gain?
For the gain that we are not able to say, for example, like this morning, I wake up and the first call I receive is from a parent of a child with a disability. And this child has very good marks, but has been placed in a special school because of disability. So they have completely forgotten all the gains we had in our 2010 constitution, where it was never a question of your disability, but the issue of merit. And they have taken us back to things we were doing in the 70s and 60s. But because of these things we are being treated to here by Akina Junet and others, we are not able to address that kind of an issue. The life of that child will be lost on that account alone. We are here today and we are not able to say where I was helping another young man, the parents is there, but babake ni bangi tu, na kijana ni wembe. The boy did very well, but he's been placed in a school some 200 kilometers away, which is okay, but it's a day school.
So it's not okay.
So it cannot be okay, because how are we going to be able to take care of that child on a day school that far? So those are the issues that are happening and hurting Kenyans today. But we are now being treated to things that are not quite useful. Parents woke up to pay 9,000 shillings. There was capitation some short while ago. Today is not there. But we cannot do anything else other than dealing with the decoy. And they are looking at the person who they thought who could best help them with the decoy is Uhuru, the former president of this republic, our party leader. And I think we need to refocus, and especially those of us in the opposition. We have to quickly refocus and make sure that the people's issues are back to the table.
Yeah, because if you look at it, SG, even if we choose to discuss what former President Uhuru Kenyatta said is, work for the people, deliver for the people. This is not time for politics, it's time to deliver. So is it a question of that those who are now attacking former President Uhuru Kenyatta, it's because they have been checked on what their responsibilities are, and that now we're looking for a boogeyman that we can blame for our own failures?
A boogeyman whom we can blame for the failures of this regime, number one, but also looking at that person who seems to who seems to put, or whose Kenyans seem to say, Aki ya Mungu hata kama ulienda, usituachilie. Because that's what I see when he appears in Riders, when he appears in Jirongos. It's like what Kenyans are saying, ulienda, lakini tuko kwa shida usituachilie. The fear of him is what is driving them to now drag him into things that are not useful. Of course, I want to say here as I start that he has a responsibility. Not that we are giving him here, but Kenyans themselves are telling him, you led us, we saw how you did it, you may not have been perfect, but we seem to have had some direction. Baba has gone. And this spirit of Baba, let me tell you, will determine the outcome of who becomes a leader in the areas that he was strong in and who does not. I don't want to go away from what you have asked me, but yesterday's happening reminded me of a similar thing that happened at Kireresho when I was having our Jubilee office at Dik-Dik. It got to a point where I picked the phone and called the former head of state, Uhuru, told him, where we are today, if you do not show up in person, it is the head of this party, and this country will never be the same again. I do not know why I say the country will never be the same again. Now I understand why those words came to my lips. If Mama Ida had not intervened yesterday, and I've not talked to anybody, but this is my experience. If she had not intervened yesterday and stopped the shenanigans within ODM, this country would be very different today.
Why? Why?
It was going to be the real beginning of the end of ODM. Kicking out Sifuna from ODM is splitting that party into pieces. And you do not need anybody to take you through that class.
Now,
Sifuna has managed, and he did it when Baba was alive, and he's continued with the same, to capture the imagination of a sizable followers of ODM. Those who agreed with Baba when he went and joined the broad-based government, and those who disagreed with him. And Baba was careful, even during his last days, to make sure that he never lost the party and lost his followers. It was a very delicate dance, and he did it well. Sifuna now is the voice of that other side that never went to broad-based. And I don't want to get into that issue, because I remember there was one time that we were seated, and this was at what we call the command center. And I'll say very true about it. But that is where the former head of the former prime minister came. There was a meeting in Mombasa, and came, and the person who was trying to brief us of the outcome of that meeting was Junet and Macau. I was seated there, mother was seated there, and what we were told, our response to it, I can see it here. If they want us to give the details later, you will see the kind of betrayal and where it started and how it has been worked out, and who have been even leading Baba the wrong way, if there was a long way. But now he is the right. But his spirit is speaking to them now.
SG, I agree with you. We have far more critical issues that we should be focusing on. Education, health, and management of our country, basically. But of late, we've been treated to the theatrics of political parties.
Yes.
I agree. ODM is a play in the political parties, but it is really not a national issue per se. We could allow ODM to go and sort themselves out, and then they can come back to the people and persuade the people on policies towards 2027. That is one. Two, we find ourselves in 2026, which in my opinion, I think is a year for us to consolidate.
It's a defining year.
Yes. So that we can approach now 2027 with much more sanity. And the question I'm struggling to get an answer to is the strength of our political parties and political party structures. Because one, ODM is disintegrating because their structures are not holding. Jubilee has had its own turbulence. And you see also members of Jubilee, like somebody was asking me over the Christmas holidays, why is it that Jubilee has not recalled the members, especially the nominated members, who are sitting in parliament and in breach, in a manner of speaking, of the Jubilee party principles?
Yes.
I would like to hear your opinion about that. But far beyond that is that how do we begin to consolidate our political parties to organize? Because a government must be formed in 2027 according to our constitution. Can we walk away from the theatrics of political parties, focus on the key issues, and start having an issue-based conversation? Then we can mobilize around those ideologies.
I want to step back and say it is also not possible for us not to discuss the happenings within political parties. Because those issues I've talked about, and we can talk about many more issues, including the health issues. Look at what your headline was yesterday.
Yes.
I'm sure you have not forgotten. League system. You cannot fail to also talk about the parties. Because these parties are the ones that are going to play a key role next year. And it is the outcome of that game that will actually determine whether we address the issues that we are raising now, or we continue down the same, going south as a country. So while it is a sad thing, we still must talk about the healthiness or how healthy are we as political parties. And today, and perhaps unlike when I was here last time, I come a little different because we as a party, I can say we are out of the ICU, we are out of HDU, we are now out of the wards. We are able to move around and sell our party. As it is, we have our party Jubilee out of the courts. We have a new constitution. We have our presidential candidate. We are now moving to the people. Those we have had our NDC, our next, all those things are functioning. Do we have the time? We have to work harder because the time is not as it's not, the manner the way we would have wanted it. We have to work much, much harder. But this also it reminds me that one of the things Raila used to say is, in Azimio, we are as strong as the individual political parties. Touching Jubilee is weakening Azimio. Yes. And it is for that reason I also cannot fail to talk about ODM and actually start with Sifuna because dismantling ODM dismantled the opposition. Yeah. And I know we have the group we are calling the United Opposition. Which, unfortunately, and I hope those who are the luminaries in it don't fail to see this, KK has now managed to blood them as tribalists. And they have succeeded. And this hit me very hard yesterday. Mnataka kukaa na sisi ama mnataka kwenda kwa hao wa kabila. So, and now it will be the team of Karonzo and others to try and explain to Kenyans that they are not tribalists. And I always say, when you are explaining it too much in politics, you've lost it. You've lost it, yeah. So we have lost that plot. That united platform, they must redefine themselves very quickly by either calling themselves another name or something else. But we are here, and during our NDC, our party leader said, we are still in Azimio. And there must be a structured way of dealing with either continued being in Azimio or exit of it. The issue before us must also be addressed by Azimio. We, even in Azimio, were betrayed by Junet. How? Aye, many ways. And I don't want to talk about, but I'll mention it.
Oh, come on, SJ, you can't say something like that and then just
I
leave
will
it
say
hanging.
it. He betrayed us in this way. One is that even when we were doing the Azimio demonstrations, he was never part of it. Never part of it. Number two, when we were fighting for the position of majority in parliament, he was never part of it. When we finally delivered the judgment which was given to us, and I was the only person going to that court. When we finally delivered the judgment of us being declared the majority, he worked with Wetangula to defeat that judgment. Today he sits in as the minority and he is speaking on behalf of the majority. Can you imagine that level of betrayal? I mean, you may not know it, but as a person practicing politics outside parliament, your voice is that person who is on the floor. And instead of him carrying your voice on a daily basis, he carries the voice of your opponent on a daily basis. There can never be any other worse level of political betrayal than that. Correct. And it is terrible. So he has betrayed us on the floor of the House. When we were doing parliamentary committees, one of the major problems, complaints about from members of Parliament of Jubilee is that slots that were meant for them were not given to them but given to other parties. He was the one responsible. After decisions have been arrived at outside of Parliament by Raila, Karonzo, and I used to sit there, it was him to go and implement in Parliament. And many of those slots that were meant for the members of Jubilee, he never allowed them to occupy.
Were these issues raised with Baba?
Yes.
Or during the...
We raised all these issues.
Okay.
But he had his own way because he was also trusted. You know, in politics, you also trust. The level of trust of Baba on Junet was amazing. And I can go to another area that now, another disaster that we have not been able to address. He is the Secretary General of Azimio. Never have we ever had a meeting of Azimio. If you go to the county assemblies where Azimio has a control, outside perhaps Nyanza and the rest, where Jubilee has a control of the assemblies, we were never able to give guidance to that assembly as to how do they conduct themselves when the governor is a UDA.
Why?
We never functioned as a unit, and it was not in the interest of the person who was supposed to make it happen, because he had already compromised himself in parliament. So those assemblies are also compromised as a reflection of the betrayal of this one man.
Do you know what you're saying, Jeremiah, essentially?
A lot.
Is that even today, the governance that represents the people then is compromised and it's not delivering because from the very beginning, it was poised to fail.
Yeah.
And so these things that Joe brings up about education and health and infrastructure and development across board will never see the light of day, because from the very beginning, the people to whom Kenyans delivered or lent their sovereignty or lent this position to lead and guide were compromised. This is a very serious thing.
And it is that serious, and that's why I'm saying it is, even the people themselves must also be willing to get out of the mess they're in. All these games are now being played so that Kenyans can again produce the same kind of leadership. If they do not see it from that platform, we will be back to where we are. And unfortunately, why I'm saying unfortunately is because this hii ugonjwa imetufikia mpaka opposition. We really cannot, I don't understand, how have we allowed a platform that was created to give hope to Kenyans? How did we allow that platform to be now labeled tribalists? A tag we can't run. Yeah. And every day we are speaking, we are affirming that position.
Yeah. So could it be that it's not being branded, it's just being pronounced on their conduct?
Yes, and because every day, and I hope today they don't do the same. They did that yesterday. They did it over the weekend. I hope today they don't do it. They are saying things that confirm or affirm what KK is doing. So we are giving them an easier way of campaigning, because once you've been blooded tribalist, Kenyans have a very strong feeling towards people who are being, even when we know that we come from tribes, Kenyans don't want to associate themselves with that kind of attack. But let me tell you this, because I think we have also to move forward. We in Azimio, those of us who still believe in Azimio, and I'm one of them who believes in Azimio, we need to call ourselves together. One is that we've never even had an opportunity to mourn Baba ourselves. But even if we are not going back there, we need to be guided by the spirit of Baba in Azimio. He never wanted those things. When he was moving to the broad-based government, there is what he told us. Mimi ukiniuliza, itafika pahali tuseme hata sisi Azimio, wacha tuseme who is our presidential candidate.
As Azimio.
As a platform of Azimio, because actually it is the only legally recognized formation as it is now.
Yes.
We can also say we will start meeting and thinking through and see whether we can come up with because I hear the others are already saying we are announcing our presidential candidate in the month of May. Others are saying, so where are the others? We in Azimio also have a lot to play. And you cannot ignore and disregard that voice.
But which Azimio are you talking about especially?
Let me say this. I'm talking of Azimio where we in Jubilee belong to. And I hope
with an SG that you do not trust.
Well, but when you have an SG you don't trust, you can always do something
Does the SG of Azimio know he's the SG of Azimio?
We may want to, maybe I will remind him. I don't think so.
But SG, let me ask
But I
this.
hope I will be able to answer your question better next week by Friday.
As the SG of Jubilee, you cite very well that you're in Azimio, but also on the other side, you're in the so-called united opposition as Jubilee, or you make appearances there. Perhaps not officially, but you do make appearances. Or we associate you as well as Jubilee
I like
Party.
the final.
That sounds better.
Yeah.
So the question comes up. One, when was Azimio formation meant to expire? Because we are heading in 2027. And another one is why, if Jubilee really does not appreciate being branded tribal because of the association with the United Opposition, can Jubilee just chart their own path? You have a presidential candidate.
We belong to the opposition. And opposition in this country is in many formats.
Factions,
We have now the United Opposition, we have Azimio, we have people who are charting their own course. The Kenyans themselves are in opposition, the Gen Z. You remember when we looked like we were the reluctant partners in United, we were told loan ledgers and we were given all those things. And we sat as neck and said, so that it's clear to Kenyans and to everybody else, Fred Okengo Matiang'i, you are now our voice in the United Opposition. You are our presidential candidate. Sit with them with one mind to unite the opposition. And that's the position. But that, since it is not a legal body, our position is that Azimio, we are still members of Azimio, because you cannot belong legally to two coalitions at the same time. So we belong to Azimio. It will be now, of course, the presidential candidate in the name of Fred Matiang'i, who has to struggle and make sure that he is also not blooded as a tribalist by association. And he has that responsibility, which we expect him as a party also, to ensure that we don't get swallowed by a tribalist card. Because we fought very hard when he was being told you cannot run on Jubilee, kwenda tengeneza chama chako huko Kisii. And he understood what he was being made to do. He avoided it, and we must give him credit for it. And it is also at times good to allow things to play out for Kenyans to understand why was there reluctancy, why was it that we are looking at this as Jubilee. You notice that since we had our neck and declared Matiang'i our presidential candidate, meetings with United have always been there. Quietly, they are there, but we are still shutting our own course. And I want to say, and I don't want to go specific issues. I listened to some of the leaders yesterday who were at a barrio huko pande ingine, na sio vizuri ati watu wanagojea tu watu wakufe ndio uende ukaongea. You know, you look like you are playing for people to die so that you have an opportunity. Politicians must get to a point where you create your own platforms. And I heard somebody saying, hapa dunia hii itakuwa chama moja. That's a very retrogressive statement.
Very.
Even if you want to achieve it, it is not a statement you make because it's really against the provisions of our constitution. And if you say it when I'm there, even if I'm in Ukabani and Kalonzo say it there, I will contradict him on the spot because I start for something.
Yeah.
But you cannot keep swallowing me in this until all of you are given a tag that you don't believe in. I mean, we fought for this constitution, and it is because of these multi-partyism that we are able to even challenge the current regime.
You are referring to Gachagwa's speech in...
I don't know whether he is the one, but I remember I had it on
it's
the
okay
YouTube.
to mention, because Kenyans had him.
If he's the one
record.
who said it, then again, I am sure he's also the one who talked about schools and many other things. And people sometimes think that I have a problem with some of these individuals. I don't have, but I don't agree with some of those statements. And let me now say here, because I am going to run 2027.
Okay.
You are not going to sacrifice my political career on statements you continue making. We are not going to be on the same platform with you.
Yeah. What position
kwa
are you
sababu sindatafuta kuwa kiongozi.
Yes.
Si lazima niongee.
Lazima.
So lazima nitakwambia ndugu, hii safari tembea peke yako. Wacha tukutane kwa uwanja.
Yes.
I am not retiring. I was not fighting for Jubilee for 3 years because I did not have something in my mind on where we should go as a country. And again, you cannot keep belittling Jubilee and thinking that we are also mute to feelings. Hapana. Sasa ni kama vile tu party leader alisema uniweke kidole utakumbuka yangu ni kubwa kuliko yako. Nitakusukuma yangu utakumbuka hata mapu yako si kubwa. But that's an issue that we will deal with as we go into the field. The issue is this for ODM. because it is the issue that is on the table.
Yes.
Like I saw it in Jubilee, ODM is on sale.
Sorry,
Jubilee was on sale.
To the highest bidder, or was it?
There is always one bidder.
Okay.
It's not the highest bidder, and the price is determined by the bidder. Jubilee was on sale, and what they were saying is Uhuru should retire. Uhuru should retire. That time it is actually Jubilee that they were auctioning. ODM is on sale, and what they are now trying to say is Uhuru funding Nini Maneno. Things are really of no, and they must fight for the soul of ODM. They must fight for the spirit of Raila. And that is what Mama Ida did yesterday. And there are people who must do this more clear. I have had a very, very short discussion with one lady now whom I really respect. And if Gen Zs were looking for people who can show them where to go, Winnie. Winnie seems to have understood more of where his dad was going than many people have had in forums where we have been invited for people to eulogize Baba. Nimewasikiza naona hawa watu, they have a very narrow description of who we got to understand Baba to be. But I listened to Winnie once or twice, and I think Winnie, Akina Sifuna, Baba Wino, they seem to have something different. And I'm not saying much because hiyo ni kazi yao. But for the sake of stability of this country, ODM needs to remain as a unit. They may have gotten into wale ambao walieta broad based, wanaweza baki huko na wasitolewe, wakae, muda imebaki kidogo, wacha chama iendelee kujitayarisha for 2027.
Is there an apparent fight, one would say, between the old dogs in ODM and the new tags who are there, and many have christened them to be the ones who embody the spirit of Raila Odinga, and that those who many would say are the founders of the party who went through the trenches with Raila Odinga do not want to let the young tags take over from them because for some weird reason they see staying in broad-based government where Raila Odinga left them is the right place to be, and supporting William Ruto is what they want to do.
Why am I saying it's slightly different? That the old guards who went into the trenches with Raila are actually with the young tags. But some young tags who had literally taken captive of Baba because of his trusting nature are the ones who are trying to say the things they thought Baba should have said but never said because he never believed in those things. I say that because there's something I also know. That team needs to be let go by ODM, and I cannot sit here like an advisor to ODM. But they need to let go that team. That team belongs to UDA. It doesn't belong to ODM. Let ODM function as ODM. And I want to tell you this opposition, even this united opposition, some of the things we are doing in the united opposition and saying are actually in aid of another term for Ruto. We don't pay attention to some of the statements we are saying, we are uttering there. We are giving Ruto another term. And that's why I'm saying myself, mimi niko tu duniani kwa sababu mimi pia ni mwanasiasa, na nitaanza kutafuta wale watu walikuwa kwa Azimio with the spirit of kina Raila. Tuanze kusema kama nyinyi mnaanza kusema na hii maneno mnasema na haionekani it's against the constitution, it is looking like it is what you want to define yourself. There are some of the issues that you cannot start arguing on them because Kenyans are captured by some of the statements because they look like they are good statements, but the depth of huko nyuma ni sumu.
So is there a need to have a united opposition? Because
there is need to have united.
We've been going about saying united opposition. It sounds great.
United opposition as a place is a very good thing.
Yes, but in terms of practice, even from your words, Jeremiah, it would appear as though that's not necessarily the case.
United opposition, not the united opposition which is shrinking, because you see, this group was bigger. but it has now shrunk.
Jubilee is not there anymore.
No, I haven't seen that.
For all optics, as you know,
is not committed.
As you know,
but let me answer your first question before you come back.
Optics, as you answer that, optics in politics is very, very important. And that the words that you speak, because you've said the united opposition, and then you said they.
Let me now.
And then you said we.
Let me even say what.
So, okay, here we go. Go ahead.
There is nothing as important as having a unity within the opposition. Because when we are together, then it is that unit against this unit, the regime. You have higher chances of unseating the current. When we are not united here, it makes it easier for this team to play us.
So is the opposition united?
The opposition is united in the minds of Kenyans. We are also united in the thinking of how that we should remove Ruto. It is the how that people are speaking.
Now, SG, there is a third force.
Yes.
The proper opposition is the people.
The people themselves.
Who are saying this regime, by whatever means necessary, this term must go. We terminate on 10th of August 2027. And on the same breath, the people do not subscribe to the tribalist nature of the united opposition. So, am I right to think that the people have to coalesce and come up with a presidential candidate in whatever formula or manner, without necessarily being dragged into a united opposition that clearly does not even speak to the needs of the people yet? Am I right to think
you are so spot on? And I want to say this.
Yes.
If the candidate is picked in a boardroom, Ruto will win. If this candidate is picked in a boardroom, we are giving Ruto an expressway. This candidate must be people's candidate. Because the people are in opposition more than the people seeking for this seat. So you are the one, you must be their candidate. And they must be the one to decide who it is. And that is why it is important for us to start thinking of how do we listen to these Kenyans as to who do they want as a candidate. And it becomes very scary to hear you saying that you are going to announce a candidate in April. Wewe ukiwa nani? And I was also saying, it appears like now, the two candidates who are now in the opposition, strong candidates is Kalonzo and Matiang'i. Wewe ni broker aina gani unatuambia mambo ya candidate? Si uruhusu wale ambao wanatafuta hii kiti kwa hali na mali waanze kuongea kati yao, tuone kama Wakenya wataona. But when we start brokering it, we are going to ruin it.
And you see,
so this is a serious thing, and that's why I'm saying we in Azimio, because we are still in Azimio, the remnants in Azimio.
Okay.
In fact, now you could maybe be talking of the orphans of Azimio. We need to start thinking hard. Perhaps we are the only voice left that can bring sanity here. And I am going to try, among others, outside even mambo ya kusema uko wapi, tuone kama we can bring some sanity to this.
And it's following up on what Joe has just raised, right? It is a question of, with all these debacle and conversations going on, whether you talk about the government wanting to form the next government in 2027, whether it is united opposition that wants to form government, or even Azimio itself, as you speak, wanting to form the government, we are not seeing anyone who is speaking the sauti ya mwananchi. We are not hearing anyone addressing matters to do with those who are killed during the demonstrations. Education is in the mess. Healthcare is not functioning. Corruption is high. And at that point, the third force will stand and say, all of you guys are speaking language that we do not understand. At what point does the Azimio, the orphans of Azimio, or the united opposition pause and restructure to start speaking with Mwananchi, not telling Mwananchi what they will do for them?
You see, you have reminded me that even as we sit here, one of the gentlemen we should be celebrating passed away yesterday. This young man who brought the documentary.
The documentary, right?
Yes, Nicholas. You know, he was able to document that for us and for generations to come as to what happened. And perhaps little did we know that he was even still struggling with a court case. that was put on his head, and he died when he was still supposed to make some appearances on court, taken by this regime. And those are the individuals who had actually captured the imagination of Kenyans in the opposition. Because them, and I have said this and people have misunderstood me, I want to say it again, they can continue misunderstanding me. Then, and even now in their mind, it was Ruto must go. And it wasn't 2027. Ilikuwa saa hii kwa sababu akikakaa anaharibu elimu. Akikakaa anauza Safaricom. Akikakaa anauza Kenya Pipeline. Akikakaa tunaona Minnesota imekuja. That must go was cued by the sloganeering of one term. Which still speaks to the issue of the opposition. But when you said one term, what happened to Ruto, which would have happened to me, was to have an easier time. I now know when they want to send me home. It is next year. It is no longer tomorrow. Sasa nitarara na kesho nitawapagia vile tutapambana na wao. Now, and they then got a comeback. You say one term, two term. There was no comeback of Ruto must go. So,
go where?
Sugoi.
No, he asked. Go where?
Sugoi. I mean, alikuwa ametoka wapi? Aliuliza how, and he was answered by the Gen Z as provided for in the Constitution. So, there was no comeback of must go. But there is a comeback of the one term because it's two term. You can't give the people you are fighting an opportunity for a comeback. Now we've given them another comeback by agreeing to be labeled as tribalists. So this is why I'm saying another group, and I am going to belong to that group, that must start thinking tofauti. Otherwise, you see, the Kenyans have determined. Let me tell you my experience. I know I don't have time. But let me tell you my experience in Jubilee 2022. Wakenya walikuwa wameamua I think 2021. Hiyo Uhuru na Jubilee yake nyumbani.
Yes.
Reasons kado.
Okay.
Lakini nyumbani. So ulikuwa unaenda unawaongelesha, unafanya nini, unabeba unga, unawapatia, wanakula na wanakupigia makofi ukienda. Lakini ilikuwa nyumbani. And it came to pass.
Yes.
Kenyans have decided Ruto must go. Who is replacing them? It is another game. But they have decided Ruto must go. And I can tell you, unaona imambo ya bere. It is not that he won. But they were also telling us, hata nyinyi watu ya opposition hii, nini mnatuambia? Unakuja hapa, unatuambia maneno, unacheza dance, unatuletea watu, you are not showing. So they will play with games and these directions. But they have decided Ruto must
go.
We in the opposition must style up and be available for these Kenyans. As it is now, what we are doing in this maneno, we are not offering ourselves. And that is why when Sifuna speaks, hata akiwa mnasema ako kwa broad-based, and others speak, they seem to resonate with the people because that is the language and that's where people are. Now, a statement to Sifuna. Wewe Sifuna, kama unasikiza, if you also make a mistake and you become part of the groups that have been labeled tribalist and the rest, you will also carry that label. That team of Akina Babu, Owino and the rest, you guys have a responsibility. Don't let the Kenyans down. Matiang'i, we have told him many times, and he is doing it. Wengine wanasema he's a lone ranger. Do it the way you think they should be done. Kenyans are also looking at you. Sasa mkiniita tena nitakuja niongee kama Secretary General wa Jubilee.
Ongea sahi for the next 3 minutes kama Secretary General SG.
Give an update. I can tell you that we need to address ourselves to this. And I must commend the Standard Group for what you have continued to do. You've been left as the only voice. In the US, I think it is the Fox. We have a serious issue that is going to get us to our knees in this country. This Minnesota Wakenya wanasema tumesota. Hii itafanya tusote. Because what we are not being told is this group of Kenyans are this group of individuals who are being accused in Minnesota. What percentage of them carry Kenyans' IDs? I have a suspicion that it could be the entire group. Remember, back in the 1990, 91, 92, I think it's 1991, a huge chunk of Kenyans, perhaps from the Somali, we also had from the Kisi and also from the Kikuyu community, migrated to very many parts of this country, of this world. This group migrated to Canada and later moved to America.
Okay.
So what does this mean? You know, I asked the other time I went to Upper Isri. Na mimi nikashangaa nikasema na kweli dunia hii we are doing very well. I saw the many buildings. Go to Kirireshwa, Kirimani, the very many buildings that are coming up. Then you ask, watu wanatoa pesa wapi jamani? Na vile tumesota pale. So if those developments have anything to do with the money that was stolen in the US, it will be followed. And I can even say this here. I think the FBI, that's what we call them,
yes,
are at the tail end
of finding out
of that investigation. It's going to hit us very hard. Could it explain us the reason why our dollar has remained at 129 shillings? Imesimama pale kama pale ulijega choo haisongi. Could it be the reasons, and how is this going to affect our economy? Are we going to see some of our leaders frog-marched to the US? Because again, we have clips of Kenyans saying, this community, funded you, including the shirt you are wearing. Sisi ndio tulikuwa tunaleta pesa.
You owe us.
From where? When I follow in the US and I look at how they are following this governor of Minnesota, is he even had celebrations within hotels that are owned by people who are in this flood. And he is being followed on that account. So if you have individuals who are confessing kabisa tulikuletea pesa, na hawa wenyewe nao wanaonekana kule waliiba pesa, na wewe hapa tumekaa kama sisi ni watu ambao wanasoma sana kwa kanisa, how is this going to hit us?
Good question.
Another thing that we will be talking about in the coming days, and I will be happy to give a little bit more of the details of what I know.
Okay.
Wow.
On that note,
it is 9 a.m.
Indeed, it is. Jeremiah Kioni, SG, Secretary General of the Jubilee Party, looking at a number of things, and perhaps some of those things stick out like a sore thumb. That, we're dealing with a lot of the end result of poor decisions. So going toward the next time a major decision can be taken, clarity of thoughts needs to be employed, whether it is those who will be choosing or those who will be chosen.
And again,
we can't run away from those.
Thank you to the Standard Group for what you are doing, even on Spice. You have remained fearless. Hata kama mtanyimwa kazi ya serikali, wacha tuseme ukweli. It is also provided for, if you go through democratic institutions and regimes, it is the responsibility of the government of the day to ensure that there is also business within the media sector. Because medias world over don't survive well if there is no support from the government.
Indeed.
So our government can decide to kill our media industry by denying them an opportunity into the business sector. Competitively, not by tokenism. That is something that is likely that some of the media industries are going through. But those of us who have ears and eyes, tunaona. Na tukifika huko pia tutawakumbuka.
Asante sana SG. It's 9 o'clock. Good morning.
It is now 9 a.m. with ICEA Lion. Insurance and investment made simple for people like you, courtesy of ICEA Lion.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira. PLP leader Martha Karua has renewed calls to abolish the National Tallying Centre, saying presidential results should be declared in all 290 constituencies and made available to the public immediately. Speaking during a televised interview, Karua criticized the tallying of presidential votes for 7 days at Bomas, saying the process can be manipulated.
How do you tally for 7 days? You are manipulating. Every polling station has 700 voters and below, some as low as 300, but let's take the average of 7. Counting must be within an hour or less. Tallying for that particular polling station, even if you give the whole process 2 hours, polling stations close at 6. By 9, counting should be done everywhere in the country. By 10, 11, we should be in the constituencies, which is the last place because there is no tallying at the county. When you relate to the national, by midnight or slightly before, we should know who is president.
This comes a day after the United Opposition raised concerns over the integrity of Kenya's election technology as it emerged that deposed Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro used the Smartmatic technology system to rig elections. A former Venezuelan intelligence chief who oversaw the development of the technology used by the IBC in the 2017 and 2022 general elections told a U.S. court that it's open to manipulation and can be tweaked to alter genuine electoral results. DAP Kenya leader Eugene Wamalwa accused the IBC of illegally extending the Smartmatic technology systems contract.
Ile mtandao tunaotumia, teknolojia tunayotumia hapa Kenya is Venezuelan. Hiyo teknolojia ina kasoro. Baada ya huyu rais wa Venezuela kuchukuliwa, now we have evidence ya kwamba the Smartmatic technology ni teknolojia ambayo inakuwa manipulated. It's a tool of electoral fraud. Na hii ni clear evidence imepatikana sasa.
Murang'a-based pastor James Irungu collapsed an hour before he broke his 80-hour tree-hugging challenge in his efforts to create awareness on cancer. He collapsed barely 1 hour and 23 minutes to conquer his 80-hour target in Murang'a town, to the amusement of hundreds of his supporters who arrived at 4:45 a.m. to cheer him at 5 a.m. Pastor Irungu was placed in an ambulance and rushed to the nearby Murang'a Level 5 hospital. Authorities say he's in stable condition. A section of ODM leaders from the Coast region has threatened to ditch the party if mining CS Hassan Joho is not given the position of party leader. The leaders, led by Mombasa Governor Abdul Swamad Nasir and his Kilifi counterpart Gideon Mungaro, as well as chairperson of the Roads Board Aisha Juma, urged the region to speak with one political voice.
Sisi wa Coast, we have to champion another political pathway. Na hatutaogopa ikiwa hawatampea Ali Hassan Joho. Mimi nakwambia Hassani, usiogope. You have everything that it takes for you to be a party leader of a party in this country. This region called the Coastal Region had a strong bond in partnership with one Raila Amolo Odinga. We are ODM and ODM is us. Sasa wale ambao walisema Sanjo akichukua watakuja ODM wajipange.
Speaking in Kikambala, Kilifi South constituency, the leaders urged the ODM leadership to listen to their concerns.
Lazima wafungue masikio, wasikie maoni yetu. Na leo tutawaambia maoni yetu sisi ya wapwani ni yapi.
Malizana hiyo akishindikana tuchukue chama na sisi hatutafanya A&B, tutachukua hiyo original. Hata kwa kama ile ya Kalonzo ya nusu chungwa na nusu. Tutachukua hiyo original. Manake tuko na shares hata sisi kubwa kwa hiyo chama.
There were violent clashes between anti-government protesters and security forces in several locations in Iran on Wednesday, as a wave of unrest sparked by the country's economic crisis continued for an 11th day. Iran's semi-official Fars news agency, which is close to the Revolutionary Guards, said 2 policemen were shot and killed by armed individuals in the southwestern town of Lodegan. Videos posted on social media showed a tense standoff between protesters and security forces, with the sound of gunfire in the background. That's the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira.
94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
Presidency is fairly interesting in the sense that it will actually take us to a new consciousness.
Swali zile watu waulizi na swali muuliza na shangala ni aje kwani huku kunaendaje?
30 billion shillings annually on travel alone in public service.
A Kenyan can even demonstrate every single day of his life that Ruto must go. That is the only message of his demonstration. That is his right.
That bribe blinds the eyes of the wise and subverts the cause of those who are in the right.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's now 8 minutes after 9 o'clock and getting into the final hour of our conversation this Thursday, and we'll let you know in a bit what we will be talking about and going into some of those details in this hour. And even as we come to the end of it, things that we want to remember. What is it that you think about? And we can end it this morning. At its core, ICA Line is in the business of human growth and the joy of a better life. They want you to romance the benefits of planning for the future in an upbeat, memorable way. This isn't about fear. It's about the great life you can build when you're prepared. They help discerning individuals create wealth and protect themselves through innovative services, whether it's wealth generation, protecting assets, or retirement security. ICA Lion is a brand for you. If you're not planning for your future, you with insurance and investments, then you have to ask yourself the question, what are you doing? If it's high time that you actually did. So what's your plan? Get started on that better life at icealion.co.ke. And remember, I told you that you can spend and you can win. How exactly can you do that? And I have to ask you the question that you remember that when you do spend, you think, okay, I've left a little bit of a hole. Let's talk about a once-in-a-lifetime chance to win a great dream getaway, all thanks to the KCB winning card. And here's how it works. If you bank with KCB and you pay using your KCB debit, credit, or prepaid card, you get a chance to win every single time you pay. Fantastic. Whether you're paying for groceries, whether you're fueling your car, whether you're grabbing lunch or shopping online, buying those books that everybody needs to do right about now, just pay with your KCB card and you get a chance to enter weekly, monthly and grand prize draws. Weekly winners walk away with 10,000 Kenya shillings. Monthly winners walk away with 100,000 Kenya shillings, and the grand prize is a holiday getaway to Zanzibar for two. We're talking about flights paid, accommodation paid, and exciting excursions. So remember, paying with your KCB card isn't just safe and convenient, it could make you a winner. The more you pay with your KCB card, the better your chances of winning. So I implore you, use your KCB card today, the winning card. Remember that terms and conditions apply, but remember also that KCB Bank, for people, for better. Speaking of people, they came in droves, I tell you. They go to worship, they go to listen to the man of God, they go to hear what somebody has to say. And so we have to ask ourselves the question in terms of what exactly is happening. We're going to go into that conversation this hour. And joining us in the hot seat of the Situation Room today, we're looking closely into whether people are taking issues to the emergency room or whether they're taking them to the pulpit. Kenya's miracle economy when hard times turn the altar into an ER. Angela Chukunzira is a sociologist and she joins us this morning. Angela, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Very well. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
Dennis is going to tell you what we do, why we do, and we'd love to hear from you before we get into that conversation.
Yes, so we're in West Africa, a country formerly known as Upper Volta, that is Burkina Faso, whose capital is Ouagadougou, a population of around 23 million people, and is huge on gold and cotton and agriculture. So we talk about cotton and one would think, what about it? But the current president, that is Ibrahim Traore, decided that their school system will have to wear uniform that is from the Burkinabe's structure or design, including the judiciary, the colonial master, and then in Avituzen. That's just how important cotton is in Ouagadougou, including just getting away from speaking French. They want to be speaking their own language. Yeah, but they also gave us a proverb today: the horse cared by 2 grooms dies of hunger. The horse, Farasi, cared by 2 grooms dies of hunger. How would you interpret that? What do you think the Burkinabes mean with that proverb?
It means that, not only that you have this care around you, the infrastructure of care around you, that is actually an illusion. And that's the same thing that applies to us in this country, where there are social systems that are not working for us. And so that's what it would mean. Like it's being cared by 2 grooms. Can you imagine? Not 1, but 2. And it's dying of hunger. So there's the 2 grooms are not looking after it, primarily.
Okay. Okay. We see you. We see your game.
You guys got me.
It's it's good.
It's good. Your interpretation, imagine, is never wrong. That's your interpretation. Yeah.
So it's interesting because every 3 or 4 months we hear on the radio, it's blaring, we see it on billboards, and we know that the man of God is coming into the city at some point.
Hallelujah.
Amen. Into a town near you. Aseto told me today, I think I did not ever hear about in my life, that people wash the road. You know how in biblical rendition that when Jesus was entering into Jerusalem the week before Holy Week, and he rode in on a donkey, that people put palm tree branches on the ground, and they said and they sang and they shouted Hosanna. He made his triumphant entry into Jerusalem. It would appear as though in today's time that there are prophets who, when they're coming into the city or into a town near you, people wash the road with detergent, soap, sabun,
triumphant entry
into the city. The road, Yani, the road. They wash the road with soap. This is yet to be verified.
It's true.
Mr. Aseto. Because
let me find that article.
That disbelief of mine forms the basis for our conversation this morning, because we're talking about there is something that is invested in another human being that would then provide hope in people where it seems they've lost it. And usually it is an economic hope that has been dashed, because people in hundreds of thousands are going to these crusades for 3 to 4 days, and it would appear as though they come, I don't know if it's true, they come back and miracles have been performed. The dead, I don't know if the dead have been brought to life, but the sick have been healed. The Kiniko, everything has been sorted out. But people seem to go to those events in numbers more than they even register to vote.
So in 2014 and 2016, yes, people washed the road.
They washed the road. All right.
Confirmed.
It's interesting. Okay, it's confirmed. So miracles are being sought after at these crusades. There was another one at the end of the year last year, and a big one. I'm telling you, people in hundreds of thousands. And here Joe Kamanya is looking for people to register to vote. So, and we can't find them.
I need a miracle.
You need a miracle. What exactly is going on? Are people in Kenya so desperate, and not just in Kenya, around the continent, you will find things like this happening? Have we sacrificed people to the point whereby their hope is dashed against rocks, that they need to go towards the divine for some kind of peace?
I mean, this is not only the lack of hopelessness, it's a social, political, and economic issue, right? It's cuts across the board. When you think of this country, for example, what the role the church plays. Historically, the church has been the space where people are seeking for hope, 1. 2, it has been even involved in struggle. When you think of the 90s, the church was a core part of civil society. And so people are going there to look for answers and solace. But on the other hand, there are no third spaces left in this country. There's no space for rest and relaxation. So what happens? Sunday is the day. and church is the place. So church becomes that site of rest, relaxation, hope, everything. Everything is dependent on church, including where we seek our community. So you don't have a group of hikers or people you just chill with. It's they're your church mates, you know, because that is where you'll have tea and mandazi. That's where you can afford to be able to have some space outside work and outside school, outside home.
But there's something, Angela.
Yeah.
Because not all of the people who go for these crusades go to church every Sunday.
Yeah.
There are people who are looking for something that these crusades are either promising or actually delivering. Because they will go again. If you call crusade today, people will go. In this January that they say has 73 days, they will go.
Because that is a space for hope. That is a site for hope. There's something that, you know, you cannot find outside of, what is it called? You cannot find outside of work. You cannot find within work. You cannot find at home. You need just some other spiritual fulfillment, some nourishment that cannot be explained. And so the crusades offer that place.
But even as we say that's a place of hope, have we forgotten ourselves that logic ceases to exist? That we do things that are not ordinary anymore simply because that is a place of hope and where we find that fulfillment? Have we forgotten ourselves and logic in the process?
Is religious behavior logical? And what is logical anyway? Is it not logical to seek hope? Is it not logical? Is that not the best thing to do when you're crippled with a multi-crisis like this, what we exist in? There's a climate catastrophe. There's shifting geopolitical terms every day. There's all these things, crippling anxiety. That is the logical thing to do. It's the most logical thing someone can do.
Is it giving people answers though, Angela? This is the question that you go and you see, what are we talking about here, seriously speaking? That people are burdened by a largely economic situation, because that's the truth. Not enough money in the pocket, not enough food on the table, not enough to stretch around the needs that are on in people's existence, education, health, the things that we are talking about that we can see as issues. But somebody can call you to go for a crusade, and I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of people. The traffic that was headed in the Nakuru direction, because we can just say it, for people to go and listen to Prophet Awuor. The hundreds of thousands of people who present themselves at that crusade are looking to go home with something that day. Whether it is that hope. Are we saying that that is the panacea to the problems?
We cannot try to... I think what is happening in this case is the issue of belief versus reality, right? And that thing is not a contradiction, in my opinion. It's really something that coexists. Human beings always have part of our existence is that spiritual aspect. And so it's not about like, does it work? Does it not work? I don't think that's the important debate. It is what is happening on the ground, what is the soothing of the human soul.
But something is happening, Angela. We can't run away from that. There's something that is happening that is going to egg people on to go, and that the next one, people want to go for the next one. I don't understand, but something must be going on here. There's some water that somebody's drinking that's satisfying somebody.
Angela, I'm just wondering, because you asked whether isn't it logical to go. I don't think it is, because it depends on where one begins to tell the story from. From my end, I believe religion is the only function of our societal existence that through socialization has sustained oppression upon the people. And it gives false hope, because for centuries, if indeed the hope we are talking about that is logical to seek was available, we would have been seeing some changes, some societal growth.
Right.
And religion is one of the major agents of socialization. So today I dare ask myself, because again, religion is not an African concept. We had our own ways of worship, but not the modern religious crusading we are seeing today.
Right.
So the infiltration of this practice in our societal norms, could it be the one that is responsible? That's why I'm saying it has sustained oppression. It is responsible for collapsing our normal ways of socializing that would have helped us to get the hope when we are emotionally, psychologically disturbed.
Right.
our cultural African setup had ways and means of looking and addressing those issues. But to the extent that we have allowed everybody to walk away from cultural practices, deemed primitive or otherwise, depending on who wants to brand them and what they want to promote, we find ourselves now accumulating or congregating around men of God, in a manner of speaking, and there have been many. But I feel it is not yet giving people the hope or the solution that they seek.
I do agree with you to some extent that organized religion is a problem. In terms of whether religion entirely is a problem, that is debatable, because human beings always create ways of trying to make things work. And when you're saying, and the reason I think people go to these crusades in droves and droves of numbers is just partly because of the issue of, okay, I've talked about hope for once, but the second thing is the community. He's just talked about our ways of communing have collapsed, right? You used to go and tell your auntie your problems, right? All those anxieties, there were ways, there was a way the structural setup of our communities was ensuring that well-being is accommodated for. But now with the increase of anxiety and even the issues of mental health are being dealt with, like mapepo, right? So what is the solution for us?
It's to wake up.
You know, the reason why I was raising issues to do with the logic, let me just paint it. Right? So you go to a gathering, right? So you go to a gathering, ukora pesa ngapi inua juu, I have 1,000 bob. Naombe your 1,000 bob, ikifika jioni itakuwa ni 10,000 shillings.
Some rubbish, man.
Idiot. If you do not invest that thing to multiply, it will never increase. It is pure logic, right? Here's the question. In Kenya today, people will talk in terms of we have problem with corruption. There is poverty in the country, right? And it is good to have the hope. We will go to our religious leaders who will pray that our situation does improve. But if the authority that is in charge of creating jobs, manufacturing, to cure that problem that you're praying for, do not do what they need to do, then that prayer at that point, with the hope that there is, if we do not apply logic that we need to escalate that conversation to authority bearers, then perhaps that gathering stops making sense and ceases to be logical. Because there is more that is needed to be done. So then asks the question, even when we gather to pray, that we gather to find solutions, what else are we doing together with our spiritual fathers or mothers or our spiritual guidance to address the real problem? Because even the Bible says, he who does not work shall not eat.
But this is just going back directly to when you started with the situation in Burkina Faso, right? And how there are two people guarding a horse, and yet the horse will die. So that is the same thing. And the church is one, the state is the other. And the church and the state have collaborated to kill the horse. And there is where we are, right?
So, is it the church or is it an individual who has seen this thing, has seen this long game properly, and has understood that the people are desperate, that the people are wanting, and that the people are gullible? That maybe by hook or by crook you did something, and maybe the two laws of nature met, and this person actually was healed, or their 1,000 shillings multiplied. And you use that to then continuously hoodwink the people to imagine that this afternoon or 3 days crusade or whatever the case may be is actually what they need to set them on the path into the future. Is it the church? Or is it an individual who has taken advantage of people's gullibility and desperation to the point whereby they can actually do something and benefit from it? People give offering. Don't people go and give the money they don't have as offering in these crusades? Abi, am I wrong? Where are they getting the money to wash the road where they cannot take a public service vehicle to that crusade? They go walking. They go and they stand on the streets. Even some ridiculous things. People lie down for the man of God to walk on them. What are we talking about here, if not for gullibility, desperation, and a really poor sense of poverty here that somebody is taking advantage of, as opposed to the church, which is shepherding the moral mind of people?
Much as I want to agree, it's like individuals who are championing this, which is partly true. But again, this is also institutionalized because individuals can only do so much. But this is actually strengthened by the failure of the system that can allow this man to have that much power. Right? Because if I'm not able to pay for my medical bill and I believe you'll multiply my 1,000 to 10,000 and I'll be able to go to hospital, that is perfect. That is a perfect ripe condition for me to be able to go to this church.
No, but you've made me believe that. You've told me that I can multiply it because God will do 1, 2, 3.
Right. But this is also a system failure. This is a system failure. The reason I'm believing that you can multiply my 1,000 shilling to 10K is because with 1,000 shillings, I cannot go to hospital. Hospitals have been privatized, right? So this is a system issue. I'm like saying this is one shoe that is left and right. This is a pair of shoes. It's not an individual shoe that works together on its own. Yeah.
I do agree. There is a system issue.
Yeah.
We cannot apportion blame to primarily one aspect. There is a system issue, but also there is the individual capacity, whereby you as a person, much as matters of faith and belief are very individualistic, growing to believe that I don't need to go to a doctor, I need to go to my man of God, they'll pray for me and I'll be well. And I don't even follow that up, given the stories that are coming up, with a medical test later on to prove that I've been healed.
But why don't you go to the doctor? Because you cannot afford to go to the doctor.
Because I've been preached to that there is an alternative.
That I don't need to go to the
doctor. I've been brainwashed that I need to believe that even there is another, if I starve myself to death, I'm going to eat endlessly for the rest of my life after I die
or
of
that
hunger.
You watch TV and somebody has come to a crusade in crutches, and you in your gullibility and your desperation, you see somebody has dropped her crutches and then she's walking, and then you say, you know what, that's right, I have a relative also, let me carry them on a 3-day journey to this crusade.
To have him.
Come on.
And what's off, just a moment, is that religion is only thriving in poor countries. Today in Europe, they're even leasing those structures to be casinos.
Houses?
Yes.
Yeah.
What is the correlation from where you start between poverty and prominence of the equality economic, the faith of the economy?
Right.
Because it's very entrepreneurial. But what's your correlation there?
The correlation is simply that, we need that soothing balm. Right? I've spoken of this since I came in the studio. Like, the soothing balm is just the need to constantly get hope, to constantly feed yourself, to constantly fuel yourself and nourish yourself. And because these other parts of you are lacking entirely, that's where you go to. But also when Du mentioned, like, there's need, why am I going to the crusade after with all these things that are going on? But it's because there's evidence. I saw somebody being crippled. Somebody went and they started walking. So that is evidence. That's all you need to be able to be convinced. Logic, right? Did you not talk about logic? That is logical. When I see you're blind, you're now seeing, then that is the path I follow. I have my chance to be healed that side.
Though it has turned out, most of those were staged and doctored.
Even the Bible says my people perish for lack of knowledge. But anyway, I'll just throw them out there.
Apostle Dennis.
But you see, so here's the question. I am a man of God. I don't know if that applies. The Swahili also say mganga hajigangi, right? Na kinyozi hajinyoi, right? But here is a question where if I'm able to heal the crippled, to make the sick feel better, to make the blind see, right? But I'm unwell, but I go for a surgery outside the country. One just ask the question, if you are the true mighty man of God, you'd have to touch that leg of yours and you'd be able to be okay. Goes to ask the question, as a people, have we become so gullible that we do not ask the tough questions? That we have been brainwashed so much that even when questions linger, we do not ask, simply because we've been preconditioned to think that this man of God, as much as we believe in them, we trust in them, that whatever it is they're saying, even when it's wrong and we see it is wrong and it's a lie, we still follow that path.
I think
is the problem the preacher, or is the problem the believers?
It comes on both ends, because we've been fed this aspiration diet for 30 years now. When the structural adjustment programs came in this country in the 90s, there was mass privatization. And in the public goods, right? Talk of health, talk of education. And it's like what is happening slowly but surely. It's something that is being internalized inside of us. It's like, okay, I cannot take my child to a we attended public schools. I did attend a public school. But now I'm like, oh, I cannot take my child to a public school, and it's all about money. It's economics, right? So I'll take my child to a private school and watch public schools disappear. My consciousness is slowly dying. And that is exactly what is happening to our consciousness. Our mass consciousness is like, okay, we don't need to have public hospitals to function. And what is happening? Miracles take over. That's we constantly have an adjustment of what is new. Like when we cannot take our kids to public schools have become the norm.
You know what? I do believe in miracles.
Me too.
I do. I think that there is a realm in which miracles take place, and they do happen. And across board, there are spiritual miracles, there are medical miracles, there are things that have been documented. They exist.
Traditional miracles.
They are traditional miracles. What I have a problem with is people taking that reality and bastardizing it to the point whereby it is something that you can trade for people's weakened mindset or reality.
Becomes a currency.
Absolutely. And when we look at it like that, they may not even realize that they're doing it. That's okay. They may realize that they're doing it, which is even worse. But what is the problem fundamentally that people have now seen this gap whereby I can take advantage of this thing? What has caused the problem that has made people so desperate that they would run to that as an option? Remembering that I said, I do believe in miracles, but it has become something that has become traded commercially. And people's desperation is the ticket that has been used to cash in on this thing. What is the issue that has gotten people to that point whereby they have to be in that position?
It's basically the idea of a collapsed social structure, right? When everything is failing economically, socially, and politically, this is exactly what happens. So people are starting to identify the gaps, the nooks and the hooks, where they can be like, okay, Appa, I'll get something for myself, you know, and that's just the sad state of being. And that's why you're talking about like developed countries don't have this kind of problems, because these issues are not exploited because things are working. Right? Things are working. Like there's a social welfare system where you're able to be like, look at Scandinavian countries where if I'm sick, I'll be able to literally just go to the hospital and get treatment. Right? Even if because people believe in miracles, even in that side of the world, I want to believe like it's the most human thing to have. So
as a sociologist, how would you rate the psyche of or just the mental space that as believers and preachers we do operate in? One would operate, is it a question of one is operating from an exploitative position and the other one is operating from a point of I just believe because there is nothing else for me to do. Life is so difficult. I'm unable to take my children to school. I'm unable to feed myself. That at the end of the day, all that I have to do is believe this man of God because I believe in God.
All these factors are contextual. Right? So when you think of a society like ours, where majority of the population, first of all, are poor, majority of the population is desperate for healing of any kind, you then think of the crevices that exist. And that's why there's always this like individuals coming in and being able to actually build big mega churches. And you'll see like they're countrywide churches actually. And they're convincing. People are literally washing the roads for them. And so the social, political, and economic context actually kind of dictates, not entirely dictates, how people will be treated and how people even perceive religion. You know, there's this almost unquestionable aspect of religion. You know, we will not even question the authority of God. We will not question the authority of the church. And, you know, it comes down to all the systems, the patriarchy, the hierarchy that we live in. You know, like you fear your teacher, you fear your headmaster, you fear your prefects. It's almost like a conditioning and a socialization that has been throughout our lives.
The Kenyans fear their men and women of God, or do we respect respect them or
that is a very
do we
thin
believe
line
or trust
a
them?
very thin
Which
line
is which?
a very thin line. What is respect? What is fear? What aweshimu mtu wa kanisa. Look when you go back to the village, you'll see like when a pastor gets inside your home, umechinja kuku. Why?
Well, and then that begs a question.
Yeah.
From a point of both sociology and psychology.
Yeah.
Could it be that these perceived men of God, spiritual fathers and mothers, are suffering from a syndrome of grandiosity?
That is possible. That is possible, and that is also what they're using to exploit the population, because they're like, okay, whenever I say the man of God said, there's this almost unquestionable authority that lies within the church, which is very problematic, and that is what is allowing us to even believe in miracles more than to believe in medicine.
And then, if that could be the case, what is the choice? What is the hope for the hopefully hopeless that are running to these men who are suffering from what you're saying? We are saying rather the condition of grandiosity. What is the hope? How do we turn around? Because we don't have the communal existence, the social structures are collapsing. People need to seek refuge, I do agree. But where they have been going, it has turned out to be a very lucrative enterprise. And unfortunately, also a life-costing venture, because people are dying.
This is true.
So where is the turnaround point for us?
If I can just piggyback on that a little bit. I read about a young man whose mother, about a year prior to his documenting this story, had given everything she had to this kind of thing. She would attend these crusades religiously. She gave her vehicle, she gave everything, and she was sick at some point. And she died as a result of complications from that illness. According to this young man, Tony was his name, I would never forget, that at the instance of his mother's death, nobody from this place where she had given everything that they had came. They didn't even come to bury his mother. And it was upon that premise that his mindset altered completely towards anything to do with religion. So for him, it was very clear that this was all a scam. It was a sham. It was shambolic in nature from through and through. So it took the death of his mother to click and realize, hey, wait a minute. I thought this was supposed to be something that was through and through. And it was almost, the words that he used was that it's like we were in a trance for that long time, that long period. We couldn't really tell, reality from this thing, because a pastor would say give, you would give. They would say come fast for 40, you would do it. Not to say that there is no merit in this thing for people who actually do this. This is not what I'm saying. But to the point whereby in a space where there's jurisdiction, what is missing or lacking to the point where people have to turn, and I'm still looking for that answer, to turn in this direction? Because you tell me, Norway, which has a sovereign fund of I don't know how many billion, you tell me that somebody's going to go and stand in a stadium in Norway and tell people, come, I'm going to heal your sick, and people are going to be like, that's not their problem, because some things have been sorted out. They don't have a bread and butter issue. So is it because there are bread and butter issues that these things thrive? That's my question.
Precisely. I totally agree. It's a bread and butter issues fundamentally, but at the same time, the structures are not working. Right? And when you go to hospital and you cannot rely on SHA to be able to be treated, or you cannot get just some basic medicine for your malaria, that is a big problem. And I think that when you're talking about like what needs to happen on the ground, I think it's people to demand political shift, people to demand systems to work. Like, we do not care if you have dimples or not. We want a hospital, right?
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. If we look at developed nations today, a place like China, religion is the last thing they would ever sit down to discuss. They would always sit down to look at how will we make it better for our people, how will we make systems work, and it is not only a conversation that is being held at the macro level, but it's a conversation that is being held with the people, right? When you come to our situation, the first thing you will see is if a politician wants a crowd to talk to, where do they go to? The church, right? If anyone would want to speak in terms of we were when we grew up, ndienda shule bila viatu, but Mungu alini bless, so I'm giving back, which is a good thing. And people take that and consume that and see, by giving back, by me believing and trusting the man of God, then my life will be better. But the people saying my life will be better are not doing anything to better their life, so that even God himself can add on them. Because again, Mungu anasaidia wenye wanajisaidia, wenye wanajisaidia. I mean, does it drop to leo? Forgive me. So, preach. So here's a question where, in all the belief that we have, there is no one who's punching some sense, in the sense that while you believe, you have to put in the work. And that perhaps is where the problem is at.
Linda reminds me of a tweet that I actually saw. Dr. Lukoya Atwoli, and I'm just going to read it. Just bear me, I'll do that quickly. Of profits and complications is what it was saying. When I was relatively a new specialist in Eldoret some time, 20 years ago, I once asked a physician colleague to review a patient with newly diagnosed breast cancer who was undergoing evaluation for treatment planning. When I saw her, she was of course anxious about the diagnosis, but she was willing to go through the planning and initiate care. We managed the anxiety and treatment started. We followed her up for a couple of months until her last outpatient appointment in November, when we noted that she was doing quite well. The next I heard about her was when she was admitted in hospital early the next year, and I was asked to review her again. She looked haggard, and it was clear she had stopped her treatment over the holidays. I asked her what had happened. She smiled at me and told me she had attended the Prophet's Crusade at Eldoret Sports Club and that she had been healed of cancer. Okay? We had a long discussion about what that meant and what was likely happening in her body, but she remained adamant that she had been healed and that she did not need any more treatment. Eventually, she signed her discharge against medical advice and went home. I saw her 6 months later with an open wound on her chest where the cancer had spread, delirious due to effects on her brain, and with significant body weakness due to the systemic effects of the disease. She couldn't remember me. She died a few days later. At her funeral, everyone praised the Prophet for curing her cancer and cursed the devil for giving her a new affliction with wounds on her chest that caused her death. During those days, we could see, towards December, mass clinic defaults and ward discharges of patients with severe chronic diseases, followed by severe complications and relapses 3 to 6 months later. Invariably, healing at the Prophet's Crusade and stoppage of treatment were the key culprits. At her funeral, everyone praised the Prophet for curing her cancer and cursed the devil. When the end-year crusades moved to, we could see mass clinic defaults and ward discharges of patients with severe chronic diseases, followed by severe complications and relapses 3 to 6 months later. Invariably, healing at the Prophet's Crusade and stoppage of treatment were the key culprits. Many died as a result. Some survived with avoidable complications. When the end-year crusades moved to Nakuru at some point, we had a little bit of respite in Eldoret. Less relapses, less complications, less deaths. But when these just spread out to the rest of the country? While I'm not responsible for what you do with your own health, it is responsibility to equip you with as much information as you need to make an informed choice, especially if I have a role in public health or in your personal care. This is what they saw. Medics, they've seen that when the crusade moved to another city, people were doing better, because they would now do what they could to go to medical facilities. When crusades were in a particular town, people got worse because they believed that this man of God is healing people. So people are being deceived.
That is true. There's just an outright deception, but that is because the people have identified the crevices and the gaps that people can be able to deceive people. But also there's also, I don't know if there's a lapse that is being noticed. World AIDS Day last month, right? The new statistics for HIV is 15 to 24. These are kids, right? And what does it tell you about the miracles? Because when we were growing up in 15 to 24, that age gap, there was this public health education through and through all the time. And there was almost a fear, you know? So whatever has happened is like a public perception of like, oh, miracles do happen. There's a cure for AIDS or whatever, or I can get healed. Or so there are many factors at play. I don't think it's one thing or the other, but this is an exploitation gap for sure. I do believe it's also a social economic problem. It's a political problem.
Could we then start having a conversation on how to demystify the belief systems we have set in place? Because clearly there's a lot of that is false belief.
It is.
It diverts your thinking, it takes over your normal way of existence, and puts you at risk.
Right.
Because if it were working, we would not have a problem with it.
True.
But it's putting our society at risk, including what you're saying. If the HIV prevalence among the youth, the bracket that we received, the statistics recently, if it can be associated with this kind of conduct, then you can see the risk actually we are talking about as a society. How do we start demystifying these false belief systems? Because again, we have more churches than any other institution, especially in this country. More than schools, more than hotels, more than even wines and spirits.
Right next to each other, in fact, those ones.
It's really about strengthening the structures, strengthening public health education,
Right.
community health volunteers, very, very crucial in part of our health system. And these are things that are crumbling down. People are now not being paid to do the CHV work. People are not being paid to do like the door-to-door mobilizing, vaccinations of children, all these things. It's really, we need to strengthen the structures that are in place, build on that, and to be able to kind of, the word is not kill, but rather to ensure that there's enough education that, much as you're praying, you still need to be very logical.
Do you think that people are suffering from mental health challenges? And I'm going to ask this question in this manner. Last year, there are two people who believed that they were the biblical Mary and Joseph. Somewhere here, west of my hand.
I thought you said Jerusalem.
And
it would have made more sense.
Western Kenya. Mary and Joseph. And people, human beings, blood-thumping, air-breathing humans went there and believed, yes, actually, this is Mary and Joseph. Somebody is telling us here that somebody called Mama Rosa in West Pokot resurrected. So now you must ask yourself, folks, did the woman actually die? Or was she somewhere and knowing that you people will believe when she now is risen from the...
I was actually tortured because I remember there's a time I passed somewhere and people were celebrating Mama Rosa and Fufuka, and I was like, yo.
So when somebody comes and tells you...
You are not inspired?
That they are Mary... Somebody comes and tells you, we are Mary and Joseph, Mother Incarnate, praise be unto God.
Yeah.
What is it? And I've been asking, what is it that in you, there's something so far removed from a reality that you will say, you know what? It's possible that this is Virgin Mary incarnate. And I believe, and so therefore I dedicate the rest of my life or my finances or whatever to believing that thing. There is something that we need to deal with, that thing. So these people, Mary and Joseph, are they okay? Or is it the people who believe them that are not okay? Or are we looking at Dr. Frank Njenga and his team who said there is a problem with mental health in this country, or people are far removed? It may sound funny, but we are dealing with a major thing here.
Yeah, it's not only Mary and Joseph who are the problem. The believers of Mary and Joseph are a problem as well.
They're actually not Mary and Joseph. I'm sorry.
I know.
People who said they're Mary and Joseph.
I do understand, but like contextually speaking, I think both people have a mental health problem. It's an issue of what can we choose? What do we believe in? How do we perceive our reality? And it's crippling anxiety, crippling economic problems, crippling social problems, crippling political problems.
When you're giving what is happening in Eldoret, right? So there is also a story that I know of an individual who was on time on taking their ARVs, right? To a point where when they went for tests, you could not detect the virus, right? Because the CD4 count had gone so low, because they were faithful to taking the medicine.
Yeah,
the man of God comes, preaches to them, and they went to hospital, they tested, they forgot that it's because the medicine had helped them. They stopped taking the drugs. What do? CD4 count spikes, 2 months, gone. These are realities that do exist in the country today, and it's about time that we started having these conversations. And even talk in terms of proper regulation, in terms of, okay, you performed a miracle. There's someone who's started walking and threw away crutches. What's the medical history? Put them on the table.
Did Mama Rosa actually die?
Actually die. And if Mama Rosa actually died, who is the doctor that signed off that she had actually died and resurrected again? Because we cannot afford to leave these things to just play in the gallery of men and women of God. It's simply because one day you woke up as a reverend, 2 weeks later you are a doctor, bishop,
and because we don't ask questions.
We don't ask questions.
We don't ask questions of politicians. We don't ask questions about people in positions of authority. We don't ask questions about the teachers of our children. We can never, God forbid, you ask a question about the person who is in moral authority over you in terms of your religion. God forbid. How dare you question a pastor? Do you know? So now anything that they say is, no pun intended, gospel truth.
Yes.
Because so long as they've said it, then we believe it. And people are dying as a result of it.
But I had, I think it was this week, I saw a clip where the man of God, is it Pastor Awuor, saying he brought Corona to Kenya.
Yes, I saw that.
You've seen it.
I saw that.
So how do we make sense of this as Kenyans? We have the whole... I don't even know where to begin, because it challenges your thinking to the extent where you wonder, are you the one who is a bit delusional?
Hey, are you crazy?
Am I crazy? But how do we fathom that? And still, as a country that has regulations, because the government bears the responsibility to protect its people.
Yes.
From both internal and external enemies. Here we have a very highly growing internal enemy.
Yes.
Both to our health faculty, to our security organs, to our education sector, and it is affecting our psyche.
Yes.
It's beginning to shape what sort of a community we are becoming.
Yes.
The ethos they are trying to prescribe and to have us subscribe to are purely detrimental. What would be then the role of government? Because again, any attempt to regulate and control the church, the same spiritual men and women, they come out and say, no, the church should not be regulated.
Yeah.
It's either they do not see what their peers are doing, because again, I don't see any organs or structures of self-regulation that are effective enough to control and safeguard the people.
The role of the state is really to ensure that structures are working, to ensure that community health volunteers are empowered.
Right.
There's people who are going to door, all these issues that we need to deal with from a very fundamental house nyumba kumi level. We need to deal with that. And for me, I think once the state has ensured that all these structures are functional, all these things become sideshows. They truly become sideshows. Yeah.
So that would be our way to go. But I think, and this is me, and I strongly feel about it, and I know a lot of people don't agree with it, because we have established that these churches or religions, in a manner of speaking, so that we don't discriminate, are all very entrepreneurial. We can see, in Kenya, I'll speak of churches, be they ACK, Catholic, PCEA, they're the ones who are in charge of being patrons to our public schools. Any school you go to, their patron church is either an ACK, PCA or Catholic.
Yeah.
Now they have abdicated that role and they have established their own private schools.
Yes.
Which has killed our public schools. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And if you go around, this is something you can easily verify. So could it be about time we start even taxing them? Because they're in business.
Of course.
They make money, but they're not supporting the country to do what it's supposed to do, to make the systems work, to protect the people.
I think it's not even taxing them, man. Like, we need to slap people back to reality and sanity, man. Let's just call it for what it is. Because the more we keep saying we need to tax them, okay, fine, we'll tax them, but will they change the doctrine and what they preach that is brainwashing people? The systems that you're talking about that are not working, it's about time that we started having proper conversation on these systems work. If it's education, let education work. If it's healthcare, let healthcare work. If it's fighting poverty, let poverty work. So that the doctrine would change and speak the word. The moment we believe that my poverty will end because I've been prayed for, yet I'm sleeping in the house, I'm not going out there to look for work, I'm not doing anything to help me change my situation, things will never change. I repeat it again. We need to slap the idiocy out of ourselves and out of the entire religious sector for people to work straight. Taxing.
Amen.
Story.
Amen.
That can be a little bit problematic because you're trying to what is happening is individualizing the societal and structural problems that exist.
No, all I'm saying is, how do we slap reality back into the people? Ensure that the authority bearers make the systems work. By people seeing that the systems work, that if it's healthcare, the Scandinavian countries that you're that you're talking about today, you walk into a hospital, when you're sick, you get treated, you go home. You have a child, you get 1 year paid maternity as you take care of your child. You went to hospital, it was free of charge. Education is free. Systems are working. You do not have traffic, garbage is being collected. Everything is working. That is why, at the end of the day, if you come to preach to someone and tell them, because you are unemployed, I will pray for you get a job, someone will look at you and ask you, what the hell do you mean? I need to go to school, I need to graduate, I need to look for work for my situation to improve, because they can counter, because people are enlightened. That is how we slap reality into the people, by making the systems work.
Thanks. Yeah, agree.
Because we must reduce vulnerability.
Yes.
As you say, and you're right to say that systems are not working. When they are not working, people become now vulnerable, to exploitation and other things. But we have to agree, maybe it's also about time we review the space we have allowed religions to occupy in our communities, in our societies, as an African people. Because we had ways and means of surviving before. Of course, things keep changing. But of course, then freedom of worship, we have to respect that. But from a social point of intervention, because even go back to the schools, today, kids are going through religious education. Another form of indoctrination. Must it happen? Must it continue? Do we need religious education in our schools? Because we could have a moral subject. That talks about morality, that talks about human existence and the aspect of spirituality, and we don't need to worship. But does it have to be crafted? Because today, I struggle with the choices that I'm faced to make, two of them. One, if I'm filling any application form in any organization, I'll be asked whether I'm a Muslim or a Christian or a pagan. And yet, I'm none of those, but I don't have
You're just Josphat Kamanya.
Yes. The other one that I struggle with, as a person from Kenya who is proudly African, is that whether I'm black, Caucasian, or whatever else.
Or mixed.
I am not black. I am African. This is how we need to decolonize and socialize ourselves afresh. Take our identity, and perhaps that will allow us to find the true north.
Indeed. These conversations that we have, whereby they may be humorous at some point, actually speaks to the very soul of societies, of communities. And we ask ourselves, other times we have conversations, we ask ourselves, who's the problem? Where's the issue? How are we going to make the connection? And I think that everybody has to then be able to make a decision for yourselves. But unfortunately, there are people who are quite smart and are able to rally up folks to get them, especially using a desperate situation. That's why we have to be so insistent on plugging into to issues, plugging into the discourse, because then we change things by our thought and by our actions. It's a big one. It's not going to go away today. Thank you for being here this morning. Angela Chukunzira is a sociologist, has joined us in this conversation today. And thank you all of you who've joined in the Situation Room this Thursday, as we've had these conversations that are absolutely necessary to have. Thank you for doing it every morning. Good morning. It's 10 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Morning, this is the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira. Patients are bearing the brunt of the ongoing clinical officer strike a day after Health CS Aden Duale maintained that he will not sign their long-pending CBA. On Wednesday, the clinicians marched from Green Park to Afya House in Nairobi demanding he signs the CBA, but the CS said he will only sign the agreement once the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers revises its terms to guarantee benefits for all members. These people, who've been speaking to our reporter at the Kwale County Referral Hospital, took hold on the government to address the clinical officers' demands.
Nilikuja bachusi kwa huduma ya kuangaliwa mwili wangu. Sasa kumbe madaktari wamehoma na ikawa sasa hakuna mpaka saa hii. Nikarudia leo, nimeingia asubuhi, nimepata bado hakuna madaktari.
Nimetoka Msangatamu kuja hospitali Kwale kuleta mwanangu kuangaliwa mbavu na kifua. Lakini nilipofika hapa nikaulizia wenzangu hapa wakaniambia kuna mgomo madaktari. Sasa yaliumisha kichwa kwa sababu gani? Kwenye nimetoka ni mbali, nimetumia fare shilingi 400.
Kwale County Health CEC Francis Gwama has acknowledged the strike but stressed that other essential services are continuing uninterrupted.
I want the community to know, or the public to know, that when you are Megoma, the clinical officers, but in the hospital we have the medical officers, we have nurses, we have lab persons and the rest. Nani huduma zinaendelea because in the outpatient you are served by a nurse and a medical officer. Umepata huduma.
Dear MP and UDA County Coordinator